than the next shorted on the list, which is AbbVie. How come? Well, it's probably because Bristol-Myers is buying Celgene, and this is just some kind of arbitrage play by the hedge funds. But still, see a name like Bristol-Myers Squibb at the top of the most shorted by value list from Goldman Sachs is a little random and hopefully interesting. There are just 35 days left until Christmas. Have you crossed everything off your shopping list yet? Well, the National Retail Federation forecasting holiday sales will grow about 4%. But here's the thing. There are 6 fewer shopping days this year just because of calendar anomalies. Joining us now is Jessica Ramirez, retail research analyst at Jane Holley & Associates. Great to see you again, Jessica.
Nice to see you.
So you guys have this unique way of, we always talk to analysts about their channel checks. You guys have this thing called PIE, P-I-E, plus O. What is it, and why should we care about it?
Correct. So we developed PIE plus O really because the consumer started changing the way they started shopping, retailers started falling behind, and the 4 Ps really just didn't do it for us anymore. So what we started looking at is product remains to be very important for that consumer and for the retailer. The other thing that's really making consumers shop and what changed was influencers and social media.
That's the IE.
The IE. So that's really what a consumer first has interaction or learns about a brand. Mm-hmm. The next thing was experience. So experience can be anything digital. Is it your app? Do you have that experience in store? Do those channels start communicating with each other? So that's extremely important in today's retail environment. And the last one is omni-channel, and that's a little bit more behind the scenes. Are you shipping from store? Can you buy online and pick up in store?
It's kind of the boring stuff that has mattered a lot.
Exactly.
Right? So Jessica, who's doing it right?
I think right now, and especially for this week, who we're excited to hear is Target. Target has really taken it. When you compare the mass channel and you look at Walmart, what they've been doing, trying to beat Amazon, and Amazon has obviously been a reason why these retailers have had to switch. Target, you can ship from their stores. Those small format stores have been amazing, especially in cities like New York, because that small format store ends up tapping into a higher income consumer, which Walmart doesn't have that advantage.
The one thing I dislike more saying more than anything on this network is Cyber Monday. I just said it. It hurts me to even say it. I'm starting to feel the same way about Black Friday, which I feel like, I hate to say it, I'm sorry, it's becoming irrelevant.
It's
not irrelevant, less relevant?
Well, the consumer shops, I think. So at the end of the day, you're talking about 6 days less in the calendar year. The consumer doesn't see that. The consumer sees a deal. The consumer knows that when they need their deadline to have Christmas gifts or gifts for the holiday, and that's what the consumer sees. So for us, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it's another time to put more.
But I'm already seeing these. I hate to say Black Friday deals already being announced, emails, Black Friday deals. I'm like, it's November.
It started in October, really, where I was like, wow, amazing. Like, I think for Ulta, mid-October, we saw Kylie Cosmetics have an exclusive for a holiday. It was mid-October.
By the way, just got a $600 million buyout by Coty yesterday. Target looking really good. Jessica Ramirez, great stuff. We'll see you again, I have a feeling, before the holidays. Thank you very much, Jessica.
Thank you.
All right, that does it for Worldwide Exchange this morning. I will see you tomorrow. Squawk Box begins right now.
Good morning. Future pointing to a sharply higher open after the 12th record close of the year for the Dow yesterday. And again, we're defaulting to some green this morning.
Home Depot set to report any second now. We will bring you the results, instant analysis, and the reaction in the stock straight ahead.
And reports say that thousands of Disney Plus accounts were hacked and posted for sale on the dark web just hours after the streaming service launched last week. It is Tuesday, November 19th, 2019, and Squawk Box begins right now. Good morning. Welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. We're live at the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. I'm Andrew Ross Sorkin along with Joe Kernan and Melissa Lee, who's in for Becky Quick. Thank you for being here. We've got a big morning. We've got a lot of earnings reports we're going to be talking about in just a moment, but I want to show you U.S. equity futures at this hour. We do have some green arrows with the Dow looking like it would open up about 105 points higher. S&P 500 looking to open about 9 points higher, and the NASDAQ looking to open 35 points higher. Let's flip that board around and show you Treasury yields as well. Show you the 10-year note right now is 1.22. But meanwhile, Joe, I imagine right about now
we're waiting for Home Depot
as the clock strikes 6 o'clock.
Okay, here are the results. Just reporting $2.53 a share. and that was a penny above estimates. Revenue just short of $27.2 billion, shy of the $27.5 billion consensus. Here's the keys for guidance for fiscal 2019. Company now expects sales to grow by 1.8%. The previous guidance was 2.3%, so 1.8 versus 2.3. Comps, they're now looking at 3.5%. The previous guidance was 4%. So let's look at the stock, which is now down about 1% for immediate reaction to Home Depot earnings. Let's bring in Brian Nagel, senior analyst at Oppenheimer and Company. So the forward guidance is below where it was previous.
Yeah, so just quickly looking at these numbers, and what you just mentioned, Joe, there was a sales miss in the quarter here. So
sales miss in the current quarter, but also lowering guidance for the rest of the fiscal year.
No, exactly.
Sales guidance.
Sales guidance. So in the quarter, the 3.5, and I'm not sure yet whether that's a total company or domestic. I'm guessing total company, and the street was around 5. So that's call it a 1.5.
The street was a full point above where the company had guided.
Well,
the company had guided 4.
Yeah. So now for the quarter. So I'm going to look at the quarter first.
Okay,
So for the quarter, they did a 3.5.
Okay.
The street was around 5.
Okay, for the quarter. Okay.
Then you're right. For the year, the company had previously guided to a 4, and the street was basically at a 4 as well. So they missed roughly a point and a half in Q3, and then they're taking, this is all on comps, they're taking guidance for comps down by about 50 basis points. So the real message here is it's a clear sales miss. The question would be why?
Well, here's what they say. Sales were below our expectations, driven by the timing of certain benefits associated with our strategic investments. This is the CEO. We are largely on track with these investments and have seen positive results, but some of the benefits anticipated for 2019 will take longer to realize than our initial assumptions. As a result, we're updating our fiscal guidance and we're reaffirming our earnings per share guidance. We're encouraged by the momentum in our business as we invest to extend our competitive advantages. But in terms of sales, that is it's coming down a little bit. Where's the stock now?
Is there anything that can explain the third quarter sales miss in particular, like a weather event or anything like that we can sort of look through this? Because this is the second quarter in a row of disappointment for Home Depot. Last quarter it was tariff pricing, but we have seen lumber pricing, but we have seen lumber prices go up in the past 4 weeks, sequentially as well as on a year-on-year basis. So that issue should have abated for them.
Yes, it's a good question. What's interesting here, and what Joe was saying is, and again, we have to look closely at the Home Depot comments, but this, what it sounds to me, and this is very rare, is that Home Depot is basically saying this is an internal issue. Because Melissa, what you're saying is the backdrop. I put a piece out just last week talking. The backdrop for home improvement was quite good because the lumber price issue is not as big a deal anymore. Weather has been favorable, and then we have this. What I've been really excited about is this improving overall housing environment. So the backdrop was good. It sounds as though, and this is rare, something that there was a misstep on Home Depot's part, and that impacted sales here in the third quarter, then likely for the balance of the year.
Well,
now, one question I would have is, and we get Lowe's tomorrow morning.
Right.
And this is, I don't want to go too far with this, so quick, but Lowe's is beginning its act together.
And you like Lowe's better?
I do like Lowe's better.
And the Dow was up 120. It's now up 53 because if you just do the math on what 16 points of pressure on Home Depot does to the averages, it just came right off the Dow. So we watched that happen. So I'm glad we were going to report that right away. Glad we planned it in the show, and I'm glad you were here.
Yeah, right. Planned, scheduled, ready to go.
Because normally you see 120 down to 50, and it's like, okay, who said something about China, right? Did China say something? Did Trump tweet something? But today, this is totally due to Home Depot, what we've seen in the pullback in the Dow future.
We went for about, what was 104 when the show started?
I saw 120 when I was sitting here earlier. Yeah, I get in pretty early.
I know you do.
104 is probably the
low.
Let's just
say 50. We shaved at least points off
yes.
the Dow.
Well, you can see right more than that because now we're up 38. Because just do the math on Home Depot is down about 17. 7 times 17 is wow.
This is a stock that was up 15% going into earnings, though.
And up 38% for the year.
Right, exactly, and a monster for the year. At what point is this potentially a buy? Has it become, not fairly valued and not overvalued?
Yeah, so look, this is how I look. First, I would say a couple things. Home Depot will have its call at 9 o'clock today.
Right.
This is a very good management team. I assume they're going to be well prepared to discuss exactly what happened. Okay, so that could be comforting to the market. Just as they say, these are the mistakes, we're fixing them. But this is a stock. When I talk to our clients at own Home Depot, and this is what I think we're seeing such a quick reaction today, is that could do no wrong. This is, I agree. Most people would say this is one of the best retailers in the world. There's rarely, if any type of internal issues. And what we're seeing this morning is something happened in the third quarter, and that's going to shock people.
Do you have any suspicions as to what that might be? What the internal issue might be?
I really don't. They have, Home Depot's been investing aggressively. They started this a couple of years ago. These called digital initiatives, but that's been working really smoothly.
And you thought they had a moat.
A moat, yeah,
basically, right?
Yeah.
That it's hard for them to be supplanted by
An Amazon or...
I can imagine it. I mean, when you're going in and buying, a great big piece of wood or something, it's hard to do.
You don't have to ship to your house.
Right.
Okay, but let me make this complicated. Now, how do you feel about Lowe's?
Well, that's the thing.
Well, it's hard,
right? Because we'll hear from Lowe's, and then you're gonna say, is this a operational problem at Home Depot, or is there something larger going on?
It seemed, the way that press release is written, it seems as though this is much more of a Home Depot issue. And so that at least initially makes me wonder if Lowe's performing better is starting to stress.
They're spending money, and the return on what they're spending money on is it either didn't work, or in their words, it's taking longer. That's what they said, right?
But it's odd for something like that to happen in one quarter. These investments have been going on for 2 years. And every comment's been, they're working well, they're ahead of plan. All of a sudden, in one quarter, now granted, I mean, there's different aspects of these investment plans, and maybe they came upon in the third quarter something that was more sales related. But it seems odd to me.
Well, Lowe's is down 2.25%. Home Depot almost 8% at this point. So, all right, Nagel, you in tomorrow? You can be here.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Be here to Grim Reaper for tomorrow morning's report. Where's it down now? 48.
Not a Dow component, so it won't have an impact on the futures, though.
That's why you're here, to bring us really timely insight like that. Thank you for that.
Okay, I got some Grim Reaper news on WeWork.
All right.
WeWork's problems, they continue to get worse. New York Attorney General is now investigating WeWork. This according to a report by Reuters, the company confirming it's been contacted by the AG's office and says it is cooperating. Sources say the probe is partly focused on WeWork's founder and former CEO Adam Neumann, and whether he engaged in so-called self-dealing. Neumann bought properties, you remember, and then leased them back to WeWork, and then borrowed against his own stake in the company. This isn't the first time that WeWork has come under scrutiny from the New York Attorney General's office. Last year, it rolled back the policy of requiring employees to sign non-compete agreements as part of a settlement. The question is, you're going to look at those transactions where he bought the real estate and then use them, and then effectively lease them back to WeWork. Does that represent self-dealing? Who was harmed? What happened? By the way, I've done some reporting around that historically, and the two things I learned over time were, one, it wasn't clear he actually made money doing it. That he might have actually lost money, and it's unclear whether that would matter.
Right.
And two, that at the time, at least the rationale or justification for the transactions were that effectively they were trying to build out WeWork as quickly as possible, and they were trying to get certain buildings, get WeWork into certain buildings, partially as a showcase and other things. At least that was the justification rationale for it at the time. Whether you think that passes the smell test, I don't know.
Self-dealing. Then there's also that issue of the trademark, which never came to fruition because he didn't end up selling the rights to the trademark.
I did some more reporting around the trademark issue as well to try to understand, was there any rational basis for why you would charge the company a certain amount of money?
Licensing fee.
It wasn't a licensing fee. It was going to be a $6 million fee that you were going to effectively pay to acquire the trademark. And again, depends which lawyers you want to listen to. I'm told that there was an argument being made at the time that there was a value to the We trademark, and that you couldn't just bequeath it to the company because that would be its own form of self-dealing. I don't know if I believe any of these things, but I just put them out there because that's what I know internally, or at least some of the conversations around some of these things that I think don't necessarily pass the smell test, or at least people look at askance.
Right. I mean, Newman's out, obviously, so it's not as much of an issue from that standpoint, but from a corporate governance standpoint and what the board allowed to happen, that's a bigger issue because the board is still there.
The board is still there?
So you have to wonder, what steps did the board take along the way to enable this to happen? And is that a corporate governance issue?
Right. Well, is this a corporate governance issue? Is it, I hate to use the F word, and I mean fraud. No, meaning are people worried about accounting issues?
Sure.
You know, the numbers came down very quickly. What was going on? I think these are the kinds of things that if you're an AG somewhere and you want to either make a name for yourself or forget about just making a name for yourself, you just think you're after justice and you want to start looking into stuff, you look through these headlines, you think maybe there's something in there.
I mean, we may look back on WeWork as one of those moments, but normally it's in the public markets, and you've got the poor retail investors that are like, God, what happened? And it's really interesting that this time it's got this much publicity. It's really just the big fat cats that are sucking it, eating it. It's bad, isn't it? We may end up talking about this years from now, don't you think?
I'm going to get my billionaire tears mug out.
I mean, it's rare you get get your billionaire tears mug. That's a good one. I mean, 47 billion to where are we now?
Oh,
come on, you're all about marking capital gains. You want to mark everything to market.
If you marked it to market, somewhere around $7 billion is where SoftBank has marked it. Now, I think that they've actually marked it a little low. I think it's actually closer to 9 or 10, and the reason why they marked it at 7 was so they could show an average. So right now, it brings down their average.
You haven't done any valuation work on it. You just think they're lowballing it.
I've done a little bit of valuation work, and I think
know how to do valuation work. You're looking at some of the monthly metrics for the individual properties, and you're coming up with 9 instead of 7. Seriously?
No, but I was
your work
talk about
shows
Jewel.
you. All right.
Let's the experts.
Let's start. Let's talk
I know
about
he does, but he just actually said he's done some work.
I did some work.
Number crunching.
A little number crunching and a lot of phone calls. How about that?
Phone calls I'll take.
We've got some more trouble for Juul to tell you about. The state of California suing the e-cigarette maker, alleging it engaged in systemic and wildly successful campaign to attract teenagers to its nicotine devices. It also says the company's online age verification process was flawed, citing sales records that sent thousands of Juul devices and pods to fictitious names, including Beer Can, Patricia Juul, and No Signature Needed Palo Alto. Juul says it hasn't reviewed the complaint, remains focused on earning the trust of society by working with attorneys general, regulators, and public health officials.
And Disney Plus subscribers may want to consider changing their passwords. Multiple reports suggest that thousands of Disney Plus accounts were stolen by hackers and put up for sale on the dark web, which I thought was the next Star Wars sequel, but that's not, that'd be a good name for it. Anyway, the hijacking happened mere hours after the services launched last Tuesday. A report on ZDNet found that hackers were accessing the accounts, logging the users out, and changing the email and password associated with the account. This was effective because many of the accounts were prepaid for a year or more. A Disney spokesperson told CNBC the company takes the privacy and security of user data very seriously, adding there's no indication of a security breach on Disney Plus. How are you doing your passwords now? What do you use? Your kids' names or what do you?
ARS 111.
Do you?
I really don't want to get into it because
we have to change.
Why would I want to share?
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. We're on TV.
We're on TV.
But we have to change it all the time.
Yes,
and I have trouble coming up with. I really try to score really well on the. You know how it measures how hard it is.
There's studies.
I'm disappointed.
It's like the strongest.
I'm disappointed if I'm average.
There's studies that show that all this changing is actually a bad idea.
Why?
Because
have you done some work on
it? Just creates. I have actually. And there's been a number of research studies that show. No, I haven't done the research myself. That show that changing the passwords constantly actually is worse rather than better. Because what ends up happening is more get out into the ether.
You know why? Because when I change it, I write it down everywhere. You know, I got it on.
Oh, that's what that yellow post-it
I probably shouldn't be saying that. Yeah, but in other things, if you get in, you know what? I think I'm giving out too much info, but I forget what it is.
Why don't you use a password generator? Do you know
I've seen that. I've seen
LastPass, Dashlane,
and
Apple
they just give you a bunch of stuff, random stuff.
What happens if that gets hacked?
Then you have bigger problems.
Out of luck.
Well, if you think that the whole account gets hacked, you have a problem. Yeah. Do you remember, news you can use, everyone in the audience, I should just tell you, double authentication. two-factor authentication for everything.
I agree with that.
You have to. Do you know what that is? I hope you know.
I get
so
text
that it texts you the message.
I get
okay.
that.
And in a perfect world, you don't even use the text.
Believe me, I've seen it because I forget, and I have to set the password again on half these things. I just
want to make sure you're double authenticated.
So it's not good that every single thing I have has a different password either, is it?
No, that's probably better.
That's better.
That's probably.
No, I know, but I can't remember any, and I get mixed. I don't even remember my username.
That's why you
this stuff.
That's why you should just use the keychain thing on your Apple phone or one of these services.
It's hard,
safer
coming into.
Or they have these pills to improve your memory too.
Right.
You could try that.
You know how many Instagram followers Kylie Jenner has?
150 million.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do know.
Oh yeah.
Because I was talking to Kris Jenner.
Kris Jenner's on.
Kris Jenner's going to be on with us, and I know it because I.
This is what I told you. This is where you find the real news. You don't find the real news in your stupid newspaper.
Stop.
You find the real news here.
This is a great story.
Water cooler
news.
news.
A great story.
Let me see what's on your.
We're going to be talking to Kris Jenner in the 8 o'clock hour.
Oh, here's another time.
By the way,
Orange Man bad. That's the headline, I guess.
Joseph, stop it.
Orange Man still bad.
Also coming up.
Orange Man headed to jail.
The Dow posting its 12th record close of the year. Futures are pushing higher again this morning, despite a decline of about 6% right now for shares of Home Depot. How should you position your portfolio? We'll talk strategy right after this break.
Tomorrow on Squawk Box, Becky Quick has an exclusive interview with Target CEO Brian Cornell. Moments after the company reports, the stock has been a retail bright spot this year. We'll find out if the rally can continue. That's tomorrow in the 6 a.m. hour, only on Squawk Box. This CNBC program is...
I've got to tell you about our beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. Next, we donned our skates for Bath on Ice. I'm a natural. Didn't have to hold on to anything or anyone. There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop, not on our watch. In real life, you can feel your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery's running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We heart in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
Next. Nah. Nope. Boring. If you skip through loads of your TV channels, why are you paying loads of money for them? With TalkTalk TV and Faster Fibre, you can access the nation's favourite TV shows, a world of films and sport, live and on demand, all for £25.95 a month for 18 months. And if you're quick, you'll even get a year of Amazon Prime on us. Search TalkTalk TV. TalkTalk. For everyone. Offer ends 5th of December, subject to availability. T's and C's apply.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
As markets continue to push to new record highs, our next guest says he has some concerns about liquidity and offers his insights about where he's seeing short-term opportunities. Joining us now is Jack Caffrey, Equity Portfolio Manager at JP Morgan Private Bank. Jack, welcome. Good morning to you. What do you mean worries about liquidity? I thought we had tons of liquidity around.
Well, we have tremendous liquidity when we think about what central banks are doing. But if you look over, say, the past year, you've had about 7.2 billion shares changing hands on a daily basis. Over the past month, you've actually seen that drop to about 6.2 billion. And when we look back at what's gone on, you would normally think when earnings are being reported, portfolio managers are repositioning, traders are acting on that news. Why is it we're seeing only 85% of the volume actually changing hands? And I think that's resulted in more dramatic stock moves. If you've had good news, you've managed to move higher. If you've offered more cautious guidance, you see yourself down 5-7%. which feels like a much more aggressive move relative to the quality or the content of what is you're actually saying. So it feels as though people are reacting a bit more than they're thinking through or responding. And when we go back and think to last year at this time, really going into December, it kind of felt like if you wanted to bid for something when you were trying to sell it, it felt like you were calling a lot more people or reaching out to a lot more people in order to actually complete those transactions. So we're going to the holidays. Liquidity naturally dries up a bit around that time of year. And it just feels like markets are a little drier, despite the fact this perception that central banks have put tremendous amounts of money out there.
Why do you think this is happening? I mean, is it a combination of fewer shares available to trade on the market because of buybacks, et cetera? Is it that portfolio managers are just complacent at this point?
I think it's an interaction of a couple of issues. One, I think part of it is the rise of ETFs. Because instead of having to trade 500 stocks, you can just trade one in the form of an ETF. And that might give some false sense of security or some false sense of liquidity. I can change the risk characteristics of my portfolio by just moving up or down a factor or some tracking issue around a factor. I actually would say that the reduction in share counts or the reduction in companies actually makes equities more valuable. There are fewer things you can own today that are actually growing earnings and give you that chance to participate in earning streams in the long run, which have created wealth. But at the same time, buybacks, and you'd actually argue buybacks are a bid in the market on a consistent or a current basis, also supportive of valuations overall.
So is that why we're sticking at record highs at this point? People aren't trading as much. They're just sort of holding on to their positions.
I think we have this idea that the way you've created wealth is taking that longer term perspective. And so being able to be calmer, thinking about how you build a portfolio that can allow you to participate and protect at the same time has been very helpful, very constructive for most people over the longer term. But at the same time, news has gotten better. We keep hearing we're going to have phase one of a trade deal. It's coming. It's coming. It's a little bit more vaporware, it feels like right now, in terms of it'll get there eventually. But that's something markets are willing to hold on for.
So you like cyclicals. What does that tell us about how you view the economy and where we are?
I think if you start with the data got better, or at very least it stopped getting worse. And then you actually start seeing some positive economic surprises. That moved its way in the cross-asset markets. You started to see it in the yield curve backing up, the 10-year backing up, copper trading better, copper doing better than gold, a lot to suggest that things are doing better. Now you're seeing the parts of the market do better that tell you the economy is doing better. It's financials, it's industrials, it's the semiconductor industry. And so that suggests that for now, seasonally, I think you want to be a little bit more risk on in your positioning. Think the window is open in order to try to make some money in the stock market. But depending on your horizon, and the portfolios that I run specifically have sort of a 3 to 4 year horizon. So it's much harder to reposition around this idea right now that markets are embracing risk. It's not the bad 4-letter word, it's actually the good 4-letter word.
Why do your accounts have a 3 to 4 year time horizon?
I think when we try to come back to this idea that real wealth has been created by owning good businesses at good prices and allow them to compound, not having to earn back what I might be paying away in short-term capital gains. And so how can we look for a good business that is available to you at a reasonable price today and stay with it?
No, the reason I was asking is why I didn't know if that was an age issue in terms of who your clients are, if that was something where you said yourself, it's not 10 years or 20 years.
No, I tend to think, I think you can have a reasonable idea about what could happen over 2 to 4 years. What happens in 10 years? What we were talking about 10 years ago is a very different narrative than the one we're having today. 10 years ago, we thought the world was over, and it would never, why would anyone ever trade something ever again? And yet today, it's like, okay, what I could have a conversation, what I want to trade over the next 5 or 10 days. Those are conversations I had 20 years ago. But now I think people are looking more to what can we know, what can we have some confidence in terms of our outlook, because it's hard to know what the next data point is going to be, which drives, are we happy or are we sad? And predicting the outlook of the next data point is a skill I don't have. But in terms of bigger picture trends, people are forming families, they are going to move out of basements, taking that somewhat longer term perspective.
You should always be happy, though, Jared.
I try.
I mean, don't let data points determine your happy. You're living at the greatest period in history, in the greatest country, in the period, in all of history, and here you are on Squawk Box, on top of everything else. Huh? Being interviewed by Andrew Ross Sorkin, one of the leading
God bless you, Joseph.
Journalist.
What an optimist today and so kind.
For a Tuesday, which is like not the greatest day of the week.
You're like sunshine.
Too close to Monday, too far from Friday.
Coming up, we're going to tell you what's going on right now, what China's top legislator said overnight, and that could threaten Hong Kong's status as a financial hub. We've got a live report from Beijing right after the break. You do not want to miss this.
This CNBC program is sponsored by Capgemini.
I've got to tell you about our beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. We dropped off our Christmas shopping at the hotel. Then it was off to be spellbound at the Theatre Royal Bath. There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
At Lidl, we're big on those little reasons to be jolly, like our delicious Favorina all butter mini Stollen bites for just $1.99 and 6 deluxe mince pies for just $1.35. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores, excludes NI.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Did you know that at Boots.com, there are thousands of amazing gifts to choose from? And if you order online, they can be delivered to the boots of your choice for collection. So gift like you get them at the fantastical choice of thousands of gifts to order and collect boutique. Charges may apply. See Boots.com for details.
Looking for a great phone to take brilliant photos, like an incredible iPhone 7 with a dual-lens camera? Then look no further than Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. You'll find an iPhone 7 for just $14.49 a month, our lowest ever price. Be quick, this deal ends Sunday, 1st of December. Tesco Mobile, every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion. Was £19.75, now £14.49. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
Far wing, elevates, triple bucket.
The war of the crowd. The shot clock ticks down. Will the ball go in? The suspense is pure torture, but you wouldn't miss this for the world. And the replays just don't cut it.
The sideline, the Van Fleet for 3.
TuneIn Premium brings you every minute of the NBA season streaming live, so you can be there when it matters most. Hear it now. Hear it live on TuneIn.
Pump fake in the lane, turnaround jumper from 8 feet is good on the
Search
right.
NBA today to start listening.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. New this morning, violent protests continuing in Hong Kong. Meantime, China's top legislator making some comments that may threaten Hong Kong's independent judicial system. That's important because it's a key reason that Hong Kong has remained a financial hub under Chinese rule. We want to get over to Eunice Yoon, who is in Beijing this morning with more on this developing story. Eunice.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Well, this move by Beijing is being described by lawyers as a potential death knell for Hong Kong's rule of law. As part of the UK's deal to hand over Hong Kong back to mainland China, China had agreed that it would maintain the city's independent legal system for 50 years. And then today, the Chinese legislature, known as the National People's Congress, said that, was highly critical of a Hong Kong High Court decision and said Beijing has ultimate say over the city's law. Now, the High Court had declared a face mask ban that the Hong Kong authorities had been using to try to control the protesters as unconstitutional. Now, this move is being seen as a big step towards Hong Kong potentially losing its special separate status from mainland China. There are many foreign companies who are growing more concerned about Hong Kong's position. I spoke to one lawyer who consults with foreign companies, and he said that some of his clients have been reducing their Hong Kong footprint. New companies, he said, are much more cautious now about moving in, and more foreigners are talking about a Plan B exit strategy from Hong Kong if things deteriorate even further. I also spoke to one business association who said that the members there are reassessing their business plans, exactly how big an operation they should have in Hong Kong, and whether or not they should move out. Now, the next big date that people are watching for in Hong Kong is November 24th, because that's a day when Hong Kong is going to hold its local elections, and there's a big question mark as to whether or not the Hong Kong authorities and Beijing is going to allow those elections to go ahead. And that, from what I'm told, would be another sign, if those elections were blocked, of a sign that Beijing is interfering even further. Guys?
All right. So far, so good today, right, Eunice? We've been on. No interruptions. No broadcasts interrupt us today. We had a big one yesterday, right?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Or maybe we can.
No, I don't know about that.
Already, we'll try to keep it. Try and keep it down in between in the center lane today. What was that yesterday? We had Rick Scott. Yeah. All right. I can't even believe they know who he is over there. He's a Florida senator. They do, though. Anyway, thank you, Eunice.
It was the content of what he was saying.
I know it was. I know. We want to speak, 1.5 billion people. It'd be nice if we would stay on over there. Anyway, coming up, American Express is playing catch-up with Visa and MasterCard, and a new report says the company is paying merchants handsomely to accept its cards. That story when Squawk Box comes right back.
Coming up, do you feel lucky?
This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
El Dorado and Caesars, combining to become America's largest casino operator.
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
The company CEO joins us straight ahead.
Most people think of Verizon as a reliable...
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked breads to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small, only by American Express.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
It's nearly here. At Amazon this Christmas, our Black Friday sale has new deals every day. So there'll be more, and more.
Oh, I love it.
The Amazon Black Friday sale, delivering all you need for less. From the 22nd to the 29th of November.
I wish me a Merry Christmas. I wish me a Merry Christmas. I wish me a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Don't forget yourself this Christmas. Get 90 gig of data for the price of 30 on the stunning Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Search O2 Christmas deals.
O2 Refresh Credit by Telefonica UK Limited. Contract eligibility and terms apply.
Back to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. Take a look at U.S. equity futures at this hour, being weighed upon by Home Depot's earnings. We'll get to that in just a moment. The Dow looks like it would open up about 60 points higher, but as we mentioned earlier at the top of the show, Dow looked like it would open up close to 120 points higher. You're looking at the NASDAQ also looking higher as well, but here's what's happened here. Home Depot's decline this morning is good for about 75 points off the Dow futures. Revenue and comp sales missing for the quarter, and the company lowering its sales guidance for the full year. The big question this morning, is this specific, if you will, to Home Depot, an operational issue? It sounds like it is. Or is there something larger taking place in the economy?
Or is it retail? Or is it the economy? Or
is it the economy,
home improvement? Right? Or is it the consumer?
What is it?
A lot of...
we may get a better sense tomorrow when we hear from Lowe's.
Yeah.
Although even that they're in the same business. Or is Lowe's eating it?
But Lowe's is a little different.
It's a different business.
A little different.
Little. So what's going to be your measure?
I'm overwhelmed in Home Depot. I feel a little bit more...
Overwhelmed when you're physically there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about the consumer experience now?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it because...
It's because I'm not handy. Do you want me to say it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it's because I'm not handy.
All right. You feel better?
Getting that off my chest. I try to say I am.
Hiding it all these years.
I still try to say that I am, but I think I just have to say it. No, I'm looking for light bulbs most of the time, and we have a lot of different
kind of light bulbs.
A lot of different.
I was just dealing with that.
So I have to find someone normally to just to get
the light bulbs.
Just to get the light. No, not to get where they are, but to make sure I get the right ones.
We got to go. I will send you. I'm going to send you my guy. My guy will pick up the light bulbs for you.
I bet he does.
Your guy.
Yeah.
Right. There's stats.
It's a joke. Guy.
It's a joke. Ha ha hee hee.
In every joke.
The conference call for Home Depot, by the way, is 9 a.m. So we'll be
looking more.
But Lowe's a little bit easier, a little softer, right? Little more,
I don't know. I've never been.
A little more.
I've never been to Lowe's.
Oh, you've been to Home Depot?
Yes, of course.
Is one of those big things around?
Let's talk Amex, though, because this is a fascinating
American
story.
Express.
Well, they've been falling behind for a while.
Is playing catch up with Visa and MasterCard. A new journal report says the card company is offering sign-on bonuses to businesses who begin accepting its cards, and the amounts range from $10,000 to about $450,000. As of last year, Visa and MasterCard were accepted in about 1.3 million more U.S. locations than Amex. Internal sales targets to sign up new merchants have increased at a double-digit pace since 2016. Incentives for businesses include discounted swipe fees, one of the biggest concerns for small and medium retailers. The journal report says sign-on bonuses with no strings attached are nearly unheard of in the credit card business. Visa and MasterCard sometimes pay businesses to start accepting their cards, but usually to defray the cost of payment technology upgrades.
And in some, I don't know if you read through the story, there were anecdotes in which it would take American Express something on the order of 6 to 7 years to make back the payments that they were offering to the merchants, the incentive payments. So they would offer somebody $10,000, but in some cases, the amount of money that they can collect off the 3%, there's such a small amount that to get to $10,000 in terms of fees is remarkable. So it's going to be interesting as you start to look through their earnings reports and things like that to understand both their marketing costs. Now, I think they've actually taken some of their marketing spend down and have moved some of that marketing spend money into this program.
So this is just like a soft line in their earnings report.
Well, so we'll have to see.
Can't figure out what it is exactly.
We'll have to see.
You know how they do this when a guest just won't shut up?
Yeah, now they're doing it.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, they're doing it.
It's like for a minute already.
Apologies. Coming up when we return, rolling the dice on a merger. El Dorado and Caesars Entertainment are one step closer to finalizing their deal to create the largest casino operator in the country. We're going to be joined by the CEO of El Dorado next. And later, the matriarch of the Kardashian empire, Kris Jenner, is going to make her Squawk Box debut. We'll talk about that's not her. To talk about the makeup business and the sale of Kylie Cosmetics to Coty. That family taking home $600 million in a day. Stay tuned. You're watching Squawk Box on CNBC.
It's knowing what to throw away, knowing what to keep, 'cause every
Executive Edge is...
At Lidl, we're big on those little reasons to be jolly. Like our delicious Favorina all butter mini Stollen bites for just $1.99. And 6 deluxe mince pies for just $1.35. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes NI.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Christmas is such a magical time of year for little ones. But why should the big kids miss out? This season, take the family to Santa's Wonderlab at West London Audi. You get to test drive the latest Audi models, and the children get to test drive the latest toys with Santa. There's something for the whole family. Visit santaswonderlab.com to find out more about how to register for your place at Santa's Wonderlab this Christmas.
At Amazon this Christmas, you'll find loads of gifting ideas for everyone. You can get the Dell XPS touchscreen laptop, Philips Lumia Prestige IPL, and the Fitbit Versa 2 smartwatch. All with low prices and free UK delivery on eligible orders over £20. So there'll be more, and more.
Oh, how did you guess?
Amazon, delivering all you need this Christmas for less.
Everybody needs somebody.
Did you know that at Boots.com, there are thousands of amazing gifts to choose from? And if you order online, they can be delivered to the boots of your choice for collection. So gift like you get them at the fantastical choice of thousands of gifts to order and collect boutique. Charges may apply. See Boots.com for details.
Looking for a great phone to take brilliant photos, like an incredible iPhone 7 with a dual-lens camera? Then look no further than Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. You'll find an iPhone 7 for just $14.49 a month, our lowest ever price. Be quick, this deal ends Sunday, 1st of December. Tesco Mobile, every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion. Was £19.75, now £14.49. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
Voted last week in favor of a merger between Caesars and El Dorado that'll create the nation's biggest domestic casino company. Contessa Brewer joins us this morning at the table with more.
Nice to be with the grown-ups.
Yes.
This is the way it's done, huh?
The kids' table, but whatever.
You know what? This is such a David buys Goliath story. Until 2014, El Dorado had 2 casinos. Now the Reno-based company is on its way to owning 60 casino resorts in 16 states in a $17.3 billion cash and stock deal to buy Caesars Entertainment. The sale of Caesars to a company 3 times smaller came after activist investor Carl Icahn made board changes and ousted former CEO Mark Frisora. Icahn reportedly handpicked El Dorado's CEO Tom Reeg to run the new behemoth. Reeg's relatively unknown outside gaming industry, and until a couple years ago, he was El Dorado's CFO, previously a bond analyst. But he has managed other acquisitions and is focused on cutting costs. In this deal, he predicts there's a $500 million synergy to be had here in the first 12 months. Caesars already is cutting contracts with outside consultants. It's trimming executive ranks. It predicts $100 million in savings by the end of the year. Reeg's focus now is maximizing the return on Caesars rewards program, implementing sports betting, and burnishing Caesars' brand. It's what he's called the gold standard of casinos. The deal's expected to close in the first half of 2020, but El Dorado's head honcho is really hoping to have this done by the end of the first quarter.
And it just so happens that you brought us a very special guest, the man you've been talking about, sort of almost in third person, as if he's not here.
Right.
But Tom Reeg is here. He's the CEO
That was
of Eldorado.
awkward, probably, wasn't it,
And
Tom?
we're thrilled to have you here. I want to know.
Thrilled to be here.
I want to know. So, did you get how does this happen? You get a call from Carl Icahn. Give us a little bit of the backstory.
So we had approached Caesars the summer prior to this summer, when the stock had been weakening, frankly, post a CNBC interview prior.
Yeah. Are you responsible for that?
Shareholders had reached out to us.
Okay.
Shareholders had reached out to us and said, we'd like to see you guys managing this company. We made a brief approach to Caesars that summer. Caesars was not interested at the time, told us so. We were in the middle of buying a company called Tropicana Entertainment from Carl.
Right.
And so we had discussed it briefly, and then I, like the rest of you, saw that Carl had become a shareholder of Caesars. There was rumors of how big he was going to be, and then we started talking about, is this something we'd be interested in? And here we are.
And you called him, or he called you for the big deal here?
I would say he was aware of our interest from our prior conversations and reached out to reconfirm it once he became involved.
Right. Okay, so the big question I think that the marketplace is looking at is this $500 million synergy number. Can you actually cut these costs fast enough? And what does it actually look like? And does that take away from any of the properties?
So this is our 7th acquisition since 2005, our 6th in the last 5 years. In each prior acquisition, we have announced a target. And when we announce that target, we have a very high degree of confidence in terms of the numbers that we're going to hit. This is no different. The numbers are just larger in this case. Caesars is a large company. But we've had an extraordinary amount of access to this point with Caesars management, both at the corporate and the property level. We have a very good sense of how they run their business. We did at the time of the acquisition, and now 4 months later, even more so, we're supremely confident we'll hit that $500 million target.
Sports gambling is a game changer, and for you, I think it provides a lot of opportunity, but also some risk to some extent, because New Jersey passed Nevada now. So, and I was going to I'm going to let you talk in a second, but I think of like Tropicana. Do people still go there? Desert Inn is gone. I mean, these new upstarts come up with all the bells and whistles, Bellagio or whatever, and some of the older properties, it's not just about gambling anymore. It seems like to be out there, you need to have a great experience for the whole family, and I think Caesars is a great brand name.
That's right, and that was part of the appeal here was Caesars, as Contessa said in the opening, was the gold standard in gaming from a number of different perspectives, including brand. Not that long ago, those of us in the market think of Caesars in terms of the LBO and then the bankruptcy, but it's not that long ago that Caesars was the standard in the business, and Caesars still has a lot of assets. You asked about sports betting. Sports betting is a reason for customers to visit your property that otherwise we're not going to see it.
So when you're talking about what's to come, you've got the very valuable Caesars Rewards now. Everybody agrees that this was one of the prime assets that Caesars was bringing to the table. You're known for cutting back on promotions and cutting back on marketing. Do you anticipate making big changes to Caesars Rewards?
So Caesars Rewards to us is the equivalent of owning the one frequent flyer program that matters in the business. And we think it's going to be very powerful. We're going to bring our 12 million customers into their database of 50 million into their Las Vegas ecosystem. And we think that's going to help us yield in Las Vegas. It's going to help us attract customers at the local level. In our travels, we've seen properties that are exporting 25, 50, 75 million a year of play elsewhere in the Caesars system. We have 26 properties in our database. We don't do that much on a combined basis from 26 properties. So Caesars Rewards is extremely powerful. We think it's great for our customers. We think it'll drive business throughout the system as we combine.
Tommy, you're talking about how acquisitive you've been. After this, after post synergies, post the deal, post everything, analysts are saying you'll be at 5 times leverage. How many turns of leverage do you need to be at in order for you to consider your 7th or 8th acquisition?
Well, what I tell you is there's not much left for us domestically. We'll have around 60 casinos across the country. There's really no holes in the map. We come out of this a little bit more levered than we have typically operated between 4 and 5 times. We'll come out of this at 5.5. But we think we'll pay down $4 to $5 billion of debt in the first 24 months post-transaction. And we really want to drive leverage low. We'd like to drive leverage sub 3 times. Okay. We think that if we're able to accomplish that, we'll be rewarded with an expanded multiple as we de-risk the company.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it, contestant. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Please come back.
Coming up, the NASDAQ hitting a new high yesterday, up nearly 65% since 2016, since the elections. Up next, we've got some names you might consider buying at these levels. Squawk Box, be right back.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
I wish me a Merry Christmas. I wish me a Merry Christmas. I wish me a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Don't forget yourself this Christmas. Get 90 gig of data for the price of 30 on the stunning Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Search O2 Christmas deals.
O2 refresh credit by Telefonica UK Limited. Contract eligibility and terms apply.
4 years free servicing. Vauxhall's all-new multi-award-winning fuel-efficient vans, keeping you on the road so you can crack on. Search Vauxhall Van Event or visit your local retailer. Offer available 18th to the 30th of November. Vauxhall carries British business. Free scheduled servicing for 4 years or 60,000 miles, whichever occurs sooner. Maximum 2 services. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Offer ends 30th of November. Just crack on.
You're stuck indoors, waiting for a delivery.
But you should be at the match with your mates! Get in!
You want to be home when the kids get back from school.
Hey, guys.
But you've got to work late. Again. With Ring Video Doorbell, you can do both. Featuring HD video and two-way talk, you can see, hear and speak to whoever's at your door from wherever you are, all on your phone. Available at ring.com and selected retailers.
Looking for a great phone to take brilliant photos? Like an incredible iPhone 7 with a dual-lens camera? Then look no further than Tesco Mobile's best-ever Black Friday event. You'll find an iPhone 7 for just $14.49 a month, our lowest ever price. Be quick, this deal ends Sunday, 1st of December. Tesco Mobile, every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion was £19.75, now £14.49. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
Welcome back to Squawk. The tech sector has been outperforming the broader S&P this year, even as the FANG companies continue to come under fire. Joining us right now with his picks in the sector, Brent Hale, Managing Director and Senior Technology Analyst at Jefferies. You've got a couple of stocks that you like, and I want to talk about each one and why, given where we are. So let's start with Facebook and Google.
Facebook, $250 price target, $10 of earnings power. We still think a mid-20 multiple is not unreasonable, given what's happened.
What has to happen to get there?
We think that the regulatory concerns have to fade a little, and the continued execution, they continue to put up great numbers on the top and the bottom line.
What has you convinced at all that the regulatory clouds are going to somehow lift?
They won't lift, but covering Microsoft for a decade underneath Ballmer and watching how that stock performed, the regulatory overhang will not be a big issue in our in our from our perspective.
No lawsuits coming, nothing like that.
We see lawsuits coming.
Oh, you do?
But
you still think it's okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look at the stock year to date, it's up 50%. And again, most of the times we come on air, you want to talk about the regulatory overhang. So I think we don't believe it's as big an issue. It's going back to the fundamentals. Advertisers are flocking to this platform. Instagram checkout and the shopping app are on fire right now.
Let's talk about, you just mentioned Microsoft. Let's talk about Microsoft's neighbor in Seattle, Amazon. You like Amazon as well. Why?
We do. It's underperformed the bricks. The clicks have faded. We think that ultimately this investment in one-day delivery is going to pay off. And they're in investment mode, and we know what happens once they get out of investment mode, they go into harvest mode. And they were in harvest mode, the stock outperformed, it's underperformed. We think there's an opportunity here.
The harvest is coming.
The harvest is going to come. It's unclear exactly when that's going to break. And then you have AWS, which is just dominant. So we think
no mention of regulatory clouds there for you?
Not as big of an impact.
Okay, and then lastly, let's talk about the neighbor of Amazon, which is Microsoft, and also about Oracle, both of which you like.
Yeah, we upgraded Microsoft, downgraded Oracle.
Right.
We like Microsoft a lot. It's been one of the best stories, growing mid-teens, has almost $100 billion of backlog. The move to the cloud is having a tremendous
If I gave you
impact.
10 grand and you could only buy one, which one?
I'd buy Amazon right now.
Okay. Brent, appreciate your time this
Buy a
morning.
round
Thank you.
lot. You can't even buy a round lot with $10,000.
Fine, I'll make it 100 grand.
Make it 100
million. 10 million.
You can buy fractional shares nowadays on certain apps.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's humiliating. Coming up, our guest host for the rest of the show, David Novak, former Yum Brands co-founder and CEO. You don't want to miss his thoughts on the latest in food trends, the C-suite shuffle, and much more in our big interview. I'm not even kidding about this. Later this morning, Jenner Communications CEO
Huge.
Chris Jenner. It is big.
$1.2 billion deal happened yesterday.
But just social
she
media.
She takes 10% of it all.
I don't know. She's going to talk. She's going to join us to talk to Andrew, mostly, I'm sure, about Cody's deal with her daughter Kylie, beauty and consumer trends, and so much more. As we head to break, take a look at the futures, which have been much higher until Home Depot guided lower in sales for the rest of the year. We'll be right back.
Squawk Picks is sponsored by Wisdom Tree, the modern alpha pioneer.
I believe ETFs are a great way to invest in the market. I just don't believe in market cap-weighted ETFs. My research shows how fundamentals can lead to performance, and that's exactly how Wisdom Tree builds their ETFs. To me, it's a better way to invest. Legacy ETFs that track the market? That's yesterday. Modern alpha ETFs built for performance? That's Wisdom Tree.
Carefully consider the fund's objectives, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. Obtain a prospectus at wisdomtree.com. Read it carefully.
You still have service? Call the insurance company.
It's them calling us.
It's going to be a week before they can get through on these roads.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I said ask how soon they can be here.
Right now.
What's now?
He says they're surveying our property
You're
now.
probably at the wrong house.
I don't see any hovering.
His name's Hovering?
Look up.
By automating claims with machine learning and analytics, Cognizant is helping insurance companies advance how they serve even hard-to-reach customers.
The world's newest ocean cruise line is yet again a world's best. Viking's elegant ships deliver a superb, inclusive experience with enriching shore excursions, alternative dining, all-veranda staterooms, Wi-Fi, and much more. We're very proud to have been named a world's best 4 years in a row by Travel + Leisure readers. Learn more at vikingcruises.com.
Whether your beauty routine is 3 steps or 57, make Nature's Bounty Hair, Skin, and Nails Step 1. It's the #1 brand uniquely formulated for silky hair, glowing skin, and healthy nails. Nature's Bounty, because you're better off healthy.
Does your broker offer more than just free trades? Fidelity has 0 commissions for online U.S. equity trades and ETFs, plus 0 minimums to open a brokerage account. With value like this, there are 0 reasons to invest anywhere else. Fidelity.
Your skin has different needs at night. That's why there's Gold Bond Overnight Lotion. Works while you sleep, penetrating 10 layers deep as hyaluronic acid locks in moisture. Wake up to rejuvenated-looking skin. Gold Bond Overnight Lotion.
Lower carbs, lower calories,
expectations. The light beer you've been waiting for has arrived. Corona Premier.
Record run. The market's looking to set new highs. Where should you be putting money to work right now?
The China Challenge. Will Huawei be listed as a national security threat by the FCC? Special guest and former Secretary of Defense Ash Carter will be here to discuss.
Plus, guest host David Novak talks leadership, doing business in China, and much more as the second hour of Squawk Box begins right now.
Good morning. Welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. I'm Andrew Ross Sorkin along with Melissa Lee this morning in for Becky Quick, who's in L.A. She's got some big interviews going on. Doug McMillan out in L.A. at the Evolve Conference. She's also got Bobby Kotick. And she's going to be back here tomorrow morning, and hopefully we'll get some of those interviews on our air as well. Take a look at U.S. equity futures at this hour this morning, Tuesday morning here. The market will open up higher, about 45 points higher, but that is down from where we were just about an hour and a half ago when Home Depot reported, or at least really more about the sales and expectations in the future, down much more than people had anticipated. We'll talk about that and dig into that in just a moment. But we should also tell you that Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell meeting with President Trump yesterday to discuss the economy was the first such meeting between the president and the nation's top policymakers since at that informal dinner, you might remember, last February. And Steve Leisman joins us now with more about what was said and what was maybe eaten.
I cannot get anything on the food. I had the scoop last time, you remember, on the steak. Nobody else had the steak detail, but we're trying to figure out if coffee was served. It's kind of quiet. But look, having first described the meeting with Fed Chair Jay Powell as good and cordial, the president took to Twitter last night to return to form and complain about monetary policy. Here's what he said. At my meeting with Jay Powell this morning, that was last night, I protested fact that our Fed rate is set too high relative to the interest rates of other competitor countries. In fact, our rate should be lower than all others. We are the U.S. Too strong a dollar hurting manufacturers and growth. That statement lacked the name-calling and over-the-top criticism of the Fed from the president's other tweets, so perhaps the face-to-face meeting had some modest impact here. The Fed had said in its statement earlier today, yesterday, Chair Powell's comments were consistent with his remarks at his congressional hearings last week. He did not discuss his expectation for monetary policy, except to stress that the path of policy will depend entirely on incoming information that bears on the outlook for the economy. Powell's been pretty clear that the Fed is not at this point going to reduce rates in order to target the dollar. Officials have said rates are higher because, as the president himself has argued, the U.S. economy is far stronger than in Europe, and stocks have surged while the chance of Fed rate cuts have declined. December, just 0.8% probability of a rate cut next month. And then you got to go all the way out to July till the market's taking kind of like a hedge on a possible rate cut of 25 basis points. So curiously, the market and the Fed now in the same place on the outlook for rates, the president in another place. Melissa?
Seems like it depends on the trade war. I mean, the markets are trying to factor in what the Fed will do in response to a trade war, and so it gives itself enough time to sort of clear the decks.
A brilliant comment, Melissa, that gives me an opening for an answer here, that the Fed funds futures market is not responding to the possibility of an increased trade war. And I think the stock market itself seems to be divorcing itself from the trade news. Don't you think?
I agree.
I mean, yesterday was bad trade news. And it didn't seem to
if you close your eyes, right, and you heard the headline,
and you would know.
The units report that, you would think the S&P would be down 20 handles.
Right,
you know, 20
down
points,
300.
30 points or whatever it is.
You wish.
And it wasn't. It was basically flat yesterday on the day.
Why do you say I wish, Joe?
Because then you'd be right about the trade war hurting so badly. And it
I think I'm pretty right about the trade war hurting.
Trade wars hurt.
As we hit 12,
where's your 3% growth, Joe?
12 new highs.
Where's your 3% growth?
All right.
Take it easy.
Quiet.
Calm down.
Silence, Joe.
Calm down. You got me, Steve. Calm down, dude.
Silence,
Calm down.
Joe, right?
In fact, yesterday, what happened? The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, they all hit record highs. Since President Trump's election, the Dow is now at 53%. 7 of 11 sectors in the S&P were higher yesterday. All 11 sectors are positive year to date. Tech is leading the way, up nearly 41%. The sector that hasn't fared as well, energy, it's only up a little more than 2%. Joining us now to discuss the broader markets is Sarat Sethi, portfolio manager at Douglas C. Lane and Associates. Sarat is also a senior CNBC contributor, and Ryan Payne, president of Payne Capital Management. Let's pick up where we left off in terms of the market reaction to the trade war. It almost seems like the markets are okay being here with bad trade headlines because it knows that the bar is very high for the Fed to do anything at this point.
Yes. No, I agree. I mean, I think actually the Fed is what's being ignored here, right? I mean, I think what happens with interest rates just doesn't matter at this point. I think we've had all the stimulus we can possibly have. So I think the trade war is still pretty important because that's about capital expenditure, and that's a big part of GDP. And if we can get clarity around that, I mean, I think that's just a huge catalyst for the market here.
Why are we okay then, hovering around all-time highs, even with bad trade war headlines?
Because the economy's awesome. If you look at unemployment as low as it is, you look at wages going up.
Not 3%, Ron.
It doesn't have to be 3%, though. You know, we don't have to be that nitpicky.
It's the best house in a bad neighborhood, certainly, around the world.
Yeah, but is it that bad? I mean, with historically low unemployment, I mean, the economy's doing great.
That is people hope for. No.
Is it about the best house in a bad neighborhood, or do you want to be in the bad neighborhood that shows the potential for inflection?
I think your point, the latter point's a better point. It is the expectation is now built in that this trade war is not going to actually get to as bad as what people think, just because we've got elections coming up, and I think people are expecting that something will come out of this. But on the other side of that, if you look at kind of the rest of the world potentially turning around as well, and where do you want to be if the rest of the world turns around? Right here, because we've got the global multinationals, we've got the ability to grow our earnings, and the market's really saying, look, the only way we're going to go ahead now is earnings going up, because multiples already at 17 times. Interest rates we know are going to be low, so where do you want to be? And I think investors have to really look and say, look, growth has been really the way to be for the last 10 years. Do you want to be just in growth, or do you kind of want to balance it with some value at this point? Because really, when you look at multiples, the financials, home building products kind of areas that are at 10, 12 times earnings versus some of the 25 to 30 PEs. Yeah, they're supported by low interest rates, but what happens when you actually have rates moving up on the back end? I'm talking about the 10-year, things like that. That's kind of where the money could go, and I think that's kind of where we're starting to put some of our capital. We've been there for a while. It's helped this year, but look, if rates move and the 10-year moves to over 2, I think you're going to have a reshuffle in the market again.
Yeah, and I mean, what does that do to bonds as well? I mean, you look at all the money that went into bond funds this summer, and you start seeing rates go up. Like, you look at that TLT of the 25-year plus Treasury index, it's already down 10% in like a month.
But you trade with a huge put, don't you? I mean, the bar for the Fed to raise is much higher than it is for the Fed to cut, right? I mean, you could have a 10-year drift above 2. You would have to have, I mean, just taking Powell at his own words, sustained inflation at like a 2.5% rate for a while that offset the time that it was below 2%.
That's never going to happen.
The Fed has gotten rid of normalization, the idea of going back to some sort of idea of whatever normal is, and it's now just the new bar is inflation that it runs high for a long time.
It's really, I'm talking long duration, right? Not the 1 to 5 year. It's really 10 plus, and that effect on the markets could be pretty dramatic, especially if you see capital go back into the equity market. If people are losing money on the bond side, you're going to get a reshuffle right away.
You're already getting it, aren't you?
You are, Absolutely. But it hasn't been as drastic as kind of, because the equity markets have supported you at this point.
Yeah, and then you got to remember, it's not the Fed who controls long-term interest rates, and global rates are starting to go up. And that has to do with the fact that you're starting to see a turn in global economies. They're starting to do better.
So Goldman had this note out yesterday that they think that peak tariffs, we've seen peak tariffs. In other words, the December 15th tariffs probably won't come into effect. If that is the case, and you want to invest in the inflection point areas, is that the U.S. or is that elsewhere? Is that Europe? Is that
so? I think you want to be in the most transparent liquid market, and you want to
that's the U.S.
So in the U.S., and you can go into companies like the Honeywells of the world, the Microsofts of the world, big multinationals, and also
Blackstone. You like too?
I like Blackstone, and Blackstone's got a great dividend yield.
It's had a great run,
but on a valuation basis, there's still opportunity there. They're aggregating assets. And you can look at the banks, JP Morgan, Bank of America. They're all going to do well because all their customers are going to start doing well. And when you're at 12 times earnings, you have expansion.
Can I just point out, Melissa, the market has not been great at predicting the political outcomes of tariffs. It's been optimistic several times about a deal.
Or strategists in the markets?
I mean, I don't know that there's been a whole lot. I don't know that there's been a whole lot of. Look, I don't know there's been a whole lot of space between the two. It looks like the market's bet on a positive outcome at least twice. And it's been wrong. And right now, at least our polling, and I guess the market, thinks these December 15th tariffs are not going to happen. Surratt just said it.
We shall see.
But it's not been right.
Well, look at last December.
I hope you're right.
Mr. Rotsathi, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, when we come back, guest host and former Yum Brands CEO David Novak is going to talk trade tensions in China, leadership here in America, and so much more. He's going to join us right after the break for the remainder of the show. And later, former Defense Secretary Ash Carter is going to join us. You don't want to miss this. We're going to talk about China's Huawei privacy concerns and national security when Squawk returns.
Tomorrow on Squawk Box, Becky Quick has an exclusive interview with Target CEO Brian Cornell. Moments after the company reports, the stock has been a retail bright spot this year. We'll find out if the rally can continue. That's tomorrow in the 6 a.m. hour, only on Squawk Box.
I've got to tell you about our beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. We dropped off our Christmas shopping at the hotel. Then it was off to be spellbound at the Theatre Royal Bath. There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
1 in 10 Londoners surveyed said they'll give more to charity in the next 12 months. Are you one of them? At CAF, we help generous people like you support their favourite charities by making giving simple. And we provide charities with the tools they need to perform at their best. So together, we can make a bigger difference for our communities. We're a charity and a champion for better giving. We are CAF, and we make giving count. Visit cafonline.org to find out more.
Oh my god, OMG. Is she okay?
Yeah, she always does this. Her Uber Eats just arrived. She ordered McNuggets, so...
Oh. Shall I get the door then?
Probably best, yeah.
McDonald's delivered, exclusive to Uber Eats. Get excited.
There are plenty of parties over the festive period. They'll have food and drink, music too. Some will even have rides and fireworks. But one has all that, plus a big something extra. Big Game 12 is London's biggest rugby party. To watch Harlequins take on Leicester Tigers from just £17 a ticket for children and £27 for adults, go to tickets.quins.co.uk or search Big Game 12. Kick-off 4:30pm, Saturday 28th of December, Twickenham Stadium.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
It's hard to find a children's gift which doesn't have a short shelf life. They'll eat all the chocolates in 5 minutes, finish their video games by the end of the week, and grow out of their trainers before you know it. So instead of buying them something just for Christmas, buy them something that's for life. Premium bonds from NS&I. Every month they'll have the chance to win cash prizes. And now you can buy premium bonds for any child. Start their savings journey from just £25. Search Gift Premium Bonds to find out more.
We've got an earnings alert here. Shares of Kohl's down sharply right now. The retailer reporting weaker than expected earnings and sales comp, also cutting its full-year profit guidance. Kohl's, the second retailer to post disappointing numbers this morning. Remember, Home Depot shares also down on a comp sales miss, and it also lowered its full-year sales guidance. Home Depot is now taking more than 85 points off the futures. Kohl's is down almost 12% here. It's amazing. Same-store sales rose 0.4%, and that was less than half of what Wall Street was expecting. So this is a major disappointment for KSS.
Well, let's talk about the state of the world, state of leadership, state of our relationship with China, with someone that had some business over there. David Novak, former Yum Brands co-founder, chairman, and CEO. He's now founder and CEO of David Novak Leadership, and a CNBC contributor. It's good to have you here.
It's great to be here, Joe. You know, before we get started, I've been watching Squawk Box, and you and Andrew, you've been going at it.
Yeah.
You've just been,
for years.
I want to bring you together.
That's really nice.
So I think food.
That's really nice.
So I brought you a few Taco Bell coupons.
Oh my God! Wait a second.
Oh wow! And
how many does he have?
He gets 3.
Okay.
I get 3. You get 3.
And
Joseph.
You don't go to Taco Bell, do you?
3 KFC.
3 KFC.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
Too.
Wow. Bad
like
math.
that too.
Only 2 KFC for you.
That's all right.
3 Pizza Hut, but
4 Pizza Hut for me.
There you go.
Wait, do these cards only work if they go together?
I want them to go together. I'd like to see them break bread together.
We're going to break bread together.
That's really nice.
Something like that would move things along.
I think this could be good.
Yeah.
You're going to have like a date night.
Can we?
We are going to have a date night.
Can we trade?
No.
You're supposed to go together.
We're going together.
No, I know, but I
Joe, I know you like Taco Bell. I'll get you more Taco Bell.
You don't like Taco Bell that much.
I do like Taco Bell, but I thought we were going to Taco Bell together. That's
okay.
the
All
point.
right.
It's exercise.
All right. Got it. Isn't 3 hours a day enough for you? No, we're good. I think.
Okay,
we're
good.
My question
well,
is,
it's been a little, it's
snippy
lately.
But my question is, how much is on each card?
Yeah, you're going to have to find out
because it's got a little like a scratch.
You got to read the fine print.
You know, you don't see Congress sitting across from each other talking things out. I mean, they could learn from this.
That would be good. I agree.
So let's.
I don't know what these are worth.
But in seriousness.
Just be thankful for them.
I am thankful. Dave, thank you. That's a sweet thing to think about.
Yeah.
He's busting our chops.
I know he is.
Don't you know Novak? Haven't you known him long enough?
Never do that.
This is like a leader, but this is a lesson in leadership. He's trying to bring people together, teams, teammates.
There you go.
This is what he does.
If you can do this,
this is what he does.
I think I could do it. I think I could do it.
Professional coach,
so,
leadership coach.
Okay.
The NBA deal, for me, it highlighted almost in a microcosm all of the issues with China. It's very important. If they have 600 million NBA fans, we'd love to just be 100% behind the protesters for freedom and democracy, but we really are. It's a very important trading partner, and for Yum Brands, it was a very important trading partner too. So you would have had to think about tweeting something like that, wouldn't you? When you were
no, I don't think I would have.
Would you have tweeted support for the Hong Kong protesters?
You know, I would have attended my business. I think you attend your business. I think business people should focus on business and leave the politics to everybody else. And I think that's the real learning.
But we can't decouple from China, can we?
Well, I think China is a country that we need to have a relationship with the long term. I mean, we've got our struggles right now, but that's going to work out. And when it works out, it's going to create more economic benefit for the entire world, including the United States. So in my mind, it's just a matter of time before things are worked out. But the politics, China's going to run their country the way how they want to run their country, and the United States is going to run theirs the way how we want to run ours. And that's the way how it should be, I think. And hopefully the two can come together and deal with the big issues.
You know what's going on at Yum, obviously. And how many boards are you sitting on?
I'm just on one board.
Which one?
The Comcast board, which is
Wait a
parent
second.
company.
You're on the Comcast.
Yeah.
What a company.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a company.
I think so too.
So you got some connections at the top there. We'll talk about it. Where do we go?
You know some people.
So overall, the state of business in the United States right now, with what the input you have from
everybody I'm talking to feels bullish. I mean, I haven't talked to a negative person in a long time.
Is that good or bad that the consensus?
I think it's good. I think people believe in the economy.
Stock market consensus.
Just look at what happened with the market. I mean, all these fears that have been, whether it's the politics, whether it's the trade, whether it's recession. You pick the issue. There's been more fears in the last, it seems like 6 months. In September, somehow, they seem to kind of go away. And, I think that people now feel that those fears are overblown. People are optimistic about the future. And, I think they should be.
Retail's good in your view?
I think retail, everything.
Home Depot had a little bit of a mix.
Yeah, but you know what? You got to look at the overall factors. I don't think that should drive the market down. It might, who knows about the market. But, Home Depot's a powerhouse company. They've been having great results. They've got great leadership, great store management. They'll come back. I mean, every retailer, has their ups and downs. I remember Warren Buffett telling me about retail. He says, look, you're in a tough industry. You have your ups and downs. Just tell people you're going to win in the long term. That's what a Home Depot is going to do. That's what all the great brands do.
In the other things that you concern yourself with now, you do podcasts with leaders. You'd like to spread a lot of the basic tenets of leadership around to create good leaders that make the world a better place. That's sort of your goal. And something you think that is not done enough is what you call purposeful recognition. And that is, see, with us, you didn't really say both of us are great or anything. I thought that was, I thought that might be something you would say, that this needs to work, you're both essential, you're incredible employees. Right? That's your deal. Purposeful recognition.
Well, credit markets in Europe, an accident.
I don't know about you, but if you look at companies, you
in
look
the
at
US.
Everybody teaches
what
people
about,
how to sell more.
what Jamie Dimon talks about
everybody
as his
teaches people
platform or his
finance
sphere.
for the non-financial executive. But there's no training that I know of that really focuses solely on recognition. Yet the two reasons why people leave companies is they don't get along with their boss and they don't feel like they're appreciated, and those are linked. So what I've done is I've created a leadership program, digital leadership program called Purposeful Recognition, which really talks about how to do recognition. Recognition isn't something that's willy-nilly. Recognition needs to be earned. But people need to know how to earn it in their companies. And I think the best way to use recognition is to reinforce the cultural behaviors that you know are going to drive results. So if you think about the news business, if you're good at getting that first story, you want to be innovative. If you're good at really knowing your subject, so that when people come on, you can really interview people effectively and really get the best out of them. If you don't throw people just a softball, you throw them the provocative question. Then you come in. If those are behaviors that drives a great performance, then whoever you work for, I think that's what they ought to be recognizing you for, because you're going to get more of it. And that's what I think recognition is really powerful at. It's really reinforcing the behaviors that will drive the cultural behaviors that that are going to drive your business. And I spent most of my time really focused on the culture, because I knew if I got the work environment right, everything would basically fall in place. And I don't think enough companies really do that. And there's nobody teaching recognition. And that's what I'm doing. And I've got a great master class that I'm really proud of. It's an hour and 5 minutes of content, and it takes you about 2 hours to do self-reflection, to figure out how you can do recognitions that's right for you.
It's so simple. Why don't managers do more of it? What's their reason that they give?
Why do some do zero?
It's like common sense. It's just not that common. People literally, don't do the things that are sometimes the easiest to do. How hard is it to say thank you? I think two most powerful words in business.
Right.
And it's just, what recognition does is it says you're watching.
They could hand out these cards, for example. Right. Well, we're fortunate here.
We're fortunate
because we have Max Myers, who gives us kudos. The executive producer. The executive producer.
Fantastic.
Yes, he does. Kudos. He's very good.
Well, that's good. That's that's a lot more motivating, than having somebody who doesn't give you anything.
Right.
And a lot of people go to work. Believe it or not, 82% of people believe they don't get recognition from their supervisor.
Exactly.
Why is that?
Preaching to the choir. I hear you.
Yeah.
All right. Can we return to more management stuff?
Absolutely.
Great one.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah. Anytime.
Okay. Good, David. Thanks. Stick around.
Can ask questions underhand softball?
Yeah, maybe. See, he gets Ask him. Do I ask you underhand? With me, you get mad at me.
You've been pretty tough on me.
You
because that's why I brought you to coupons.
Is that good that I'm tough on you or not? Make up your mind, will you?
I like it.
Okay, good.
I come back for punishment.
You do. You're a masochist.
The FCC
it's more satisfying when you hit a fastball.
Yes, right. Exactly.
The FCC is set to vote on a rule that would prohibit self-service providers from using government subsidies to buy equipment from Chinese tech giants Huawei and ZTE. We'll speak to former Defense Secretary Ash Carter about this and much more. And check out shares of Home Depot and Kohl's this morning, both down big on disappointing quarterly results as well as forecasts. The entire retail sector is being hit right now, aside from JCPenney, which is up almost 1%. Squawk Box returns after this quick break.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirit with our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whisky for just $12.99 and our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Christmas is such a magical time of year for little ones. But why should the big kids miss out? This season, take the family to Santa's Wonderlab at West London Audi. You get to test drive the latest Audi models, and the children get to test drive the latest toys with Santa. There's something for the whole family. Visit santaswonderlab.com to find out more about how to register for your place at Santa's Wonderlab this Christmas.
I wish me a Merry Christmas. I wish me a Merry Christmas. I wish me a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Don't forget yourself this Christmas. Get 90 gig of data for the price of 30 on the stunning Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Search O2 Christmas deals.
O2 Refresh Credit by Telefonica UK Limited. Contract eligibility and terms apply.
This Black Friday, get Sky Entertainment for £22 a month. Then enjoy a spectacular 50% off Sky Cinema, including Christmas movies like Mary Poppins Returns and The Grinch. Build your perfect bundle today. Choose any or all of our Sky TV packages and get an incredible 50% off. Hurry, join today. Visit sky.com. Offer ends 2nd of December. New 18-month minimum terms or 31 days notice to cancel depending on package. Discount on standard pricing with same minimum terms. Set up £25. Kit allowed at no cost.
Still to come on Squawk Box this morning, hacked just hours after rolling out. Thousands of Disney Plus accounts have been reportedly stolen by hackers and put up for sale. We've got details on that straight ahead. Plus, markets in record territory. We're going to find out what's fueling the run. And then at the top of the hour, we're going to welcome former White House Chief of Staff Andy Card, his thoughts on the Trump economy, the 2020 election, and so much more. Squawk returns right after this.
Thanks again.
What's the sign of a really first-class funeral directors? Is it how they're with you every step of the way? Is it the care they take looking after your loved one? The superb organisation they show on the day itself? The thoughtful little touches you maybe weren't expecting? Yes, it's all those things. But there's another sign you should also be looking for. The one that says dignity. You'll find it's on every one of our branches and on the Dignity website. When you see it, you'll know you couldn't be in better hands. Dignity Funeral Directors, taking the greatest care.
Into the end zone, touchdown!
NFL fans, hear every live game on TuneIn Premium.
He runs inside, he's got a 10, 5, touchdown!
This Thursday, hear the home and away call as the Indianapolis Colts visit the Houston Texans at 8:20 p.m. Eastern.
Firing, caught, 10, 5, touchdown!
At home or on the go, hear the home and away call of every NFL game this season on TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
Want to know what's happening in right now? The latest headlines are just a tap away with Fox News Talk on TuneIn. When news breaks, get up-to-the-minute coverage on developing stories from around the world. Plus, hear all the Fox shows you watch on your TV. Listen to Fox News Talk around the clock on TuneIn.
Smart Sports Wagering Talk is now on TuneIn. This is Brett Musburger. The Better Network is now on TuneIn. Search BETR. Be better informed. Be better prepared. And remember, cash and tickets is what it's all about.
Far wing elevates. Triple bucket.
The roar of the crowd. The shot clock ticks down. Will the ball go in? The suspense is pure torture, but you wouldn't miss this for the world. And the replays just don't cut
the
it.
Sideline, the man Fleet for 3.
TuneIn Premium brings you every minute of the NBA season streaming live, so you can be there when it matters most. Hear it now, Hear it live on TuneIn.
Pump fake in the lane, turnaround jumper from 8 feet is good on the right.
Search NBA Today to start listening.
Start hearing more of what you want.
Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations, live commercial-free news, and every live NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL game.
Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
Good morning and welcome back to Squawk Box this morning. Taking a look at U.S. equity futures, it looks like we will be building on yesterday's record closes for all three major indices. The S&P 500 looking to be up by 7.5 points. Dow looking to add about 43. The Nasdaq looking to be higher by 32. Retail, though, has been a drag this morning. We got Home Depot results. Revenue and comp sales missed for the quarter. The company also lowered its sales guidance for the full year, saying some investments are taking longer to pay off. That stock had been down as much as 7% earlier, now down by 4.5%. Then Kohl's reported a disappointing quarter. Take a look at what's happening to the retail names across the board, and you see they are all down. Kohl's is down by 10%. Andrew.
Okay. A big vote expected today at the FCC that would block Huawei and ZTE from receiving federal money to help build broadband infrastructure. Now, the two companies could be named as national security threats, which would then block them from receiving anything from the $8.5 billion Universal Service Fund that the government offers to sell companies. Here to discuss this vote, national security, China, and so much more. Ash Carter is joining us, former U.S. Defense Secretary and now director of Harvard's Belfer Center. He's the author of Inside the Five-Sided Box. Secretary Carter will be participating in the digital currency national security crisis simulation at Harvard later today with Larry Summers, Nick Burns, and others. I kind of want to be a fly on the wall for that, Ash. But let's start with Huawei. Is there a compromise? Is there somewhere that could be met in the middle so that Huawei could still operate at least in some parts of the world without compromising our own national security?
Well, what you see going on here, Andrew, is exactly as you indicate, a mix of national security policy and economic policy going on. That's new for us. It's not new for China. We're looking for a playbook for a communist China that we both trade with and compete with militarily. And we didn't have that. We have the Cold War playbook, which is all military, no economics. And we have the free trade playbook for countries like France and so forth, which is all economics and not military competition. And we're getting a mix here. Now, Huawei is such a serious case of potential national security consequence that both in the FCC rulings and in the trade talks, you see our government taking the point of view that it's a national security problem to have all their stuff installed in our country and in our allies' countries. That's not going to change. We may make some particular and temporary carve-outs for a while, and that's what's probably going to happen.
From your perspective, if you were in office right now, would you? I mean, the argument or the issue here is that people. It does appear that Huawei is being used to some degree as a pawn in the larger trade war. And so either you believe it is a genuine national security threat or it isn't, right? I mean, it's sort of hard for it to be both.
Well, you're right. And that would say, well, how can you trade national security for soybeans? And how can you, in other words, how can you mix an issue like the Huawei issue as a national security issue up in the trade talks? And you're absolutely right. There's a limit to the extent to which we can do that. At the same time, we are trying to connect our security policy and our economic policy, because remember, that's what the Chinese do so well. So when we have an economic issue with the Chinese, we want to be able to also bring in the national security side. And when we have a national security issue with the Chinese, we want to bring in the economic side. That's the kind of new playbook that we're trying to develop here. And it is new, and you have to be careful that you don't sell your security, because our security can't be for sale and isn't for sale. But at the margins, we can make those kind of. But
that's the part of this I don't understand. I mean, I've read thoroughly, the DoD innovation report, which effectively said allowing Huawei not just entree to the United States, but entree to any part of the West, any part of the world, actually becomes a security threat for us, because ultimately we are going to need access to those lines, those communication lines, and by default we'll be using their services, and that becomes a problem unto itself.
That's right. And that is a problem, and I don't think that can be appropriately traded away in trade talks or for anything else economically. Huawei is a serious case. It goes to the heart of what is going to be a two-internet world, a two-tech
So you think there's a decoupling that's about to happen here? When you just talked about a two-internet world.
It's already happening.
They talk about it as the
it's already
Splinternet.
happening. It's already happening. Remember, the Chinese have been running a separate internet for some years. This isn't a choice for the United States, whether there are going to be two technological systems around the internet. The Chinese have made that choice. It's going to be that way. And there'll be some things that we share, but very substantially they'll be different. Yeah.
Do you think that over the last 30 or 40 years that our policy of engagement, which arguably was in the interest of trying to open up China, has ultimately failed?
Yes, in the sense that we tried and they decided to go a different direction. China did not turn out the way that many people hoped in the 1990s. Now, I was one of those people who came to the conclusion about 20 years ago that it was not going to be what we hoped, which is end up a big France, a nice trading partner with which we got along in other ways. But by now, I think there's a broad consensus, and this is deepened just in the last few years in the United States, that China is not going to come our way. It's going to go its way, and we're going to have a very serious, protracted, competitive situation with what is, after all, communist dictatorship. And that's why the Huawei issue is not going to be, I don't think, resolved in the course of the trade talks. I think that's too strong.
You're an old China hand here. This is.
I would say, I would question whether anyone could say that China hasn't dramatically changed, I think, even for the positive in the last 30 years. I think it's more open than 30 years ago. It's much more progressive than it was 30 years ago. And yes, maybe it hasn't gone as far as what we would like it to go. I would never say never about the future.
Well, let me just talk about the present. I'm sorry, I can't agree with that.
That's
okay. It is
okay.
a communist dictatorship that has settled upon a view that it is not going to just fit into the world as in other countries, especially the United States, have created a world of values of freedom and also free trade, that it's going to go the Chinese way. That is what many people hoped, and it was reasonable to hope.
Ash, but isn't that Xi Jinping 2013 and forward?
What I'm saying, yes, absolutely. And I knew Jiang Zemin, I knew Hu Jintao, I knew Xi Jinping, and you could see right there in that progression. With Jiang Zemin, you could have a conversation in which it was plausible that he may end up now, by this time in 2019, in a situation where China wasn't trying to carve out a separate kind of world centered on China, but a world in which it fit in, and of course had a big role, naturally enough, but it wasn't a China-centric international system. By the time you get to Xi Jinping, read what he says. He has announced that there are going to be that China's going to have its own independent tech base, including internet, that it is the Chinese time to shine on the world, not to shine with the rest of the world, but to make up for 100 years of humiliation and so forth. That's a very different attitude from the one that Jiang Zemin had, and China is going to follow Xi Jinping's path. Now, that doesn't mean I think there's going to be a war or even a Cold War in the sense of a replay of what we have in the Soviet Union. But you got to look at China for what it is, a communist dictatorship that has determined that it wants to be at the center of Asia and possibly ultimately the center of the world. They say that, and that they're going to be independent in areas of sensitive technology from the rest of the world, and especially the United States. So these aren't choices that Americans have anymore. These are choices that China has made, and we have to play the game that's on the field.
Secretary Carter, always great to hear from you and your perspective. It's a debate that is not going anywhere, and I imagine we will continue to have it with you, and we hope to speak with you soon. And I'm looking forward to what you're doing later today. So thanks so very much for coming on.
Thanks very much.
You bet.
Good to be with you as always.
Coming up, stocks to watch ahead of the opening bell, including Home Depot, which reported results in the last hour. The numbers and the market reaction are next, and it's not pretty. And then the great tax debate rages on, but instead of fighting over whether there should be new taxes, what if the IRS just collects the taxes that are owed it? Robert Frank will break down that story in just a bit. Then later, the matriarch of the Kardashian empire, Kris Jenner, going to try to keep up with her. Andrew is anyway. Makes her Squawk Box debut. Do you guys bond at the Deal Book thing? Are you guys buddies now?
Absolutely.
So good for us. The makeup. Huh?
These women, her.
Does she know who I am?
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
At Lidl, we're big on those little reasons to be jolly. Like our delicious Favorina all butter mini Stollen bites for just $1.99. And 6 deluxe mince pies for just $1.35. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores, exclusion I.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the world's most fantastical, sensational number. 105 million. Tonight's Euro Millions jackpot is a massive £105 million.
Euro Millions, celebrating 25 years of the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Estimated jackpot. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Elsa, the past is not what it seems. You must find the truth.
Journey into the unknown with Disney's Frozen 2, the most anticipated musical movie event of the year.
We do this together, okay?
This November.
I believe in you, Elsa, more than anyone or anything.
Into the end.
Change is in the air. Frozen 2 in cinemas November 22nd.
I wish me a Merry Christmas. I wish me a Merry Christmas. I wish me a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Don't forget yourself this Christmas. Get 90 gig of data for the price of 30 on the stunning Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Search O2 Christmas deals.
O2 refresh credit by Telefonica UK Limited. Contract eligibility and terms apply.
Home Depot shares down sharply this morning after lowering guidance and missing on revenue. Take a look at the shares right now. We had been down by as much as 7%. As soon as they reported the results, we're now down by 4.5%. Joining us now on the Squawk Newsline is Telsey Advisory Group Senior Managing Director Joseph Feldman. Joe, great to have you. Home Depot mentioned something about investments not paying off as soon as they thought they would. What sort of investments do you think they are? Are they the online investments they've been making?
Yeah, I think it's across the board. They've been trying to invest in supply chain to be a little quicker and faster in the store. I think it's online for better, buy online, pick up in store, faster delivery to homes, and just some of the merchandising that they've been doing. So some of those incremental investments they claim are some of the pressure point. I wonder if it's a bit of housing pressure as well, though. It seems like we saw that the past couple of quarters now.
Why do you think it'd be housing pressure? I mean, last quarter it seemed that they were pitting most of the blame on lumber prices, which is something that's abated for this quarter because lumber prices have been going higher over the past month or so.
Well, yeah, historically there's been a 6 to 9 month lag when housing market relative to when home improvement sales turn out. And if you go back this time last year, the start of this year, housing was pretty soft, and a little softer than normal. Now it's come out of that dip, but that 6 to 9 month lag might be playing that catch up over the past couple of quarters. I think that's in the backdrop. Now, that being said, it does feel like housing's gotten a little bit better lately, so maybe things will kind of level off here. But now there you go, 2 quarters in a row, 2 different reasons why sales have been slower. So maybe some of it is the backdrop as well.
The average ticket price has gone up. The sales per square foot has gone up. Should we be worried about the health of the consumer, or should we not impute that from these results?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I mean, and their transactions were actually up 1.5%. And, if you take a step back, a 3.5% comp, or same-store sales, I should say, on such a large sales base that Home Depot has and such a mature company is quite good. So, while they did miss the expectation, the numbers are good. And I think you're right. It does indicate that the consumer's been okay. And we're seeing that from some of the others that have reported as of late.
We have David Novak here, the former CEO of Yum Brands. So, David, when you're looking at the consumer, what are some of the indicators that you look at?
Well, I think the key thing in retail is transactions. And Home Depot's up 1.5. Plus their same-store sales are up. Not bad. I think you keep doing that, quarter after quarter after quarter. You wake up someday, you have a hell of a business.
Sounds like
okay.
you look through this.
Yeah, I think this is like, overreaction.
Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I understand that, and I think that they are on a more stable base and they're operating quite well. They're one of the best in retail, and to be able to put up such numbers, it's kind of like, you look at Walmart, and when Walmart does like a 1.5 or a 2 comp, that's really good on such a large base. And I would say the same for Home Depot here with this 3.5. If you take a step back, it's all relatively solid.
And those transactions makes it even more powerful.
Right.
Because you're just not getting it from price.
Joe, should we be worried about Lowe's tomorrow?
Well, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think there could be a little bit of pressure there. Wall Street's forecasting around 3.2%. Given what we saw at a Home Depot, there could be a little bit, although Home Depot's saying it was more self-inflicted issues. So if that's the case, maybe the 3's okay. I would think somewhere right around 3, maybe a touch below, is where we might see Lowe's come out tomorrow.
All right. Joseph Feldman, thanks so much for calling in. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, when we come back, the tax gap is growing, but there could be a simple way to stop the bleeding. Robert Frank joins us with a preview right now. Robert.
Good morning, Andrew. Every year, the IRS collects more than $400 billion less than it's owed, and most of that is from the 1%. We'll take a look at how fixing the IRS could bring in twice as much revenue as Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax. Coming up after the break.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. You'll get interviews, original content, and behind-the-scenes access. Look for us on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. And subscribe to Squawk Pod today.
I'm a regular in my neighborhood.
Cold Tuesday afternoons like this are cruel. You cough, you splutter, so does your car. Its battery dead, killed by an icy claw. Will anyone stand up to winter? Yes, you. Come to Halfords. We fit new batteries on the spot from just £15, and we're open late 7 days a week. See halfords.com for opening hours. Here in Wandsworth. Ready for the cold snap? Ready for anything. Halfords. For life's journeys.
Batteries sold separately. Selected vehicles only in most stores.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small.
only by American Express.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirit with our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whisky for just $12.99 and our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Instead of raising taxes on the wealthy, some say the IRS should simply collect what they owe, what they are owed every year, I should say. Robert Frank joins us now with more. Robert.
Amazing concept, isn't it? Actually pay what you owe. Now, every year the IRS collects less than what is theoretically owed, a difference known as the tax gap. New IRS data shows that the tax gap is now around $400 billion a year. That's about 15% of the nation's total tax revenues. Now, Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary, who, of course, opposes Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax, says that the best way to reform our tax system right now is to start with basic collection. In a new paper and op-ed with economist Natasha Sarin, Summers projected that the tax cap will grow to over $7.5 trillion over the next decade. And at least 70% of those uncollected taxes come from underpayment by the top 1%, which he says contributes to legitimate concerns that the tax system unfairly advantages the elite. Now, audits of the wealthy have fallen by more than half over the past decade as the IRS cut staff and the number of auditors. In 2011, more than 12% of those making $1 million or more were audited. Today, it's 3%. Summers said investing $100 billion in the IRS technology, improved third-party reporting would yield over $1 trillion in revenue or generate $11 for every tax dollar spent on the IRS. Now, the Treasury Department issuing a statement to CNBC saying that the administration agrees that reducing the tax gap is an important goal, and it wants Congress to approve measures in the next budget that would improve enforcement and oversight.
So there's avoidance and evasion, and you're talking about...
This is avoidance.
No, it's not.
It's
evasion.
Probably both, but some of it is
This is illegal, Robert. This is not using the law to pay less taxes. This is not collecting what's owed.
Well, illegal implies intent. It could be just errors on the part of filers.
Oh, just errors.
Some of it. I'm not saying
that much money is just errors. So they have great accountants, and they have great methods of lowering their taxes to the
That's
legally.
Right. That's avoidance. Right.
Right. What you're talking about is missing out. These are people that are evading taxes and could go to jail for not paying taxes.
Evading and also perhaps not really understanding.
It sounds to me like it's evasion, and that probably would be a good idea to make sure people pay. And now you need to change the law to get the loophole, if they're doing it legally.
That's right.
Anyway, thanks, Robert. Stick around. Vanessa Williamson, governance studies, senior fellow at Brookings, and Rachel Bovard. She is a senior policy director at the Conservative Partnership Institute. Conservatives don't want to spend money. They don't want the government spending more money. Would this be a good way to spend some money to help the IRS collect more?
Enforcement is always helpful. But first, I'd like to congratulate Larry Summers for moving past the wealth tax. I think that's a great idea. It fails everywhere it's been tried. So let's talk about enforcement.
Has he talked about the plane yet?
Yeah. But it requires congressional resources, and this Congress is currently too busy doing something else called impeachment rather than legislating. They have to require enforcement resources to be able to get this done.
Vanessa, this seems like kind of a no-brainer. You don't even need new taxes.
I mean, I think that this is an important step no matter what kind of tax plan you want to see. If you want to do a wealth tax, absolutely you need the IRS to have the money to enforce that. There is an enormous amount of evasion and avoidance at the top, and those resources should not be left on the table.
Well, if you're going to tax unrealized capital gains, you're going to need some money from the IRS to just for computer systems, right?
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren is talking about trillions of dollars going to the IRS because of the difficulty in valuing all these assets and enforcing it.
You got a government that's already not collecting the taxes that it should. That we're supposed to give more money to. When we're there, you know, one of the things that really irritates the hell out of me is just how the billionaires are being vilified. When I think the billionaires are probably the greatest Americans we have. I mean, what would our country be without Jeff Bezos? Right. What would it be without all these guys who literally are creating
But
jobs?
you would not support additional funding for the IRS?
I would definitely support that, but it's got to be viewed as a problem. And if it's seen as a problem, then you ought to put resources up against it.
Yeah, but if I told you that you didn't, if you had a receivables problem at your company, right, the one place you'd put money is into collection.
And what I'm saying is yes. Right. I would definitely fund that in the government, but it's got to be seen as a problem. Then you got to, if that's a strategy, then you put the resources.
But you're saying it's a problem. By the way, most people in the Republican Party right now have no interest in funding collection.
Well, I will say, as Summers pointed out in that piece, enforcement has gone down over the last decade.
Right.
So this is a problem both parties have ignored. But also, I would also point out that OECD says the United States has one of the most progressive tax codes in the world when it comes to collection from the rich. So we're collecting from the rich. We're just not enforcing all of the collection we could be doing. Again, this is a resources problem. Congress needs to get its act together and put money there if they care about
Yes, but just to be 100% clear, this is not. You're making it out like it's some kind of bipartisan issue. It is not a bipartisan issue at all.
Over the last decade, there have been both parties in control.
Nope. But Kevin Brady was on the record saying the IRS became politicized under Obama, so therefore they didn't want to fund it at the same levels. He was very clear about that. He felt like the IRS had become politicized, so therefore they wanted to reduce the funding.
And he had a fair point, and the courts agreed with him. Right. So I think until we get that right, of course we don't want to spend all this money if they're going to use it to target conservatives or any members of any political party.
You're smart, Robert Frank. Death and taxes. You cover taxes, you will always be here every day, I think, right? Rachel, thank you. Vanessa, thank you. Robert, thank you, right? You're not going anywhere.
Death, wealth, and taxes. The wealthy will always be with us, and so will taxes.
And so
well, we'll see about the wealthy. Liz has her way. Anyway.
Okay, coming up when we return, the former White House Chief of Staff, Andrew Card, is our very special guest. Take a quick look at the futures right now as we head to a break. You are looking at green arrows across the board with the Dow up about 50 points, S&P 500 up a little over 8. We're back in just a minute.
Ski moguls.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
At Lidl, we're big on all those Christmas parties. The season to be jolly. Try our Party Time Indian snack selection for only $2.99. And our Party Time mac and cheese bites for just $1.19. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the world's most fantastical, sensational number. 105 million. Tonight's Euro Millions jackpot is a massive £105 million.
Euro Millions, celebrating 25 years of the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Estimated jackpot. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Going, gone.
Some things just don't hang around, like a great deal in Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. Right now you can get the Samsung Galaxy S10 for just $29.99 a month. But this deal ends Sunday 1st of December. Catch it before it's gone. Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion was £35.99, now £29.99. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
Oh no. 1 kebab, 4 cabs, 3 karaoke booths.
But really?
You can't always recall what you spent on a night out, but you could map the location of those transactions on our mobile banking app. Feel in control every day. Lloyds Bank, by your side. Not available for every transaction. T's and C's apply.
When you're not listening to your team, take it to the end zone, the rim, or the net. Keep up with the biggest moments in sports by following TuneIn on social media.
Into the end zone for the touchdown.
From reminders of the live top games to tips of the best sports stations and podcasts.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless.
Follow and TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
A tough morning for retail earnings. Home Depot dragging down the Dow futures, and Kohl's getting slammed in early trading.
Doing business in China amid the trade war. Yum China's Mickey Pence talks restaurants, Hong Kong, and more.
And a global business empire grows.
I think that we're building something so fantastic, and just being able to figure out what really works for each one of them is very rewarding for me.
Kris Jenner, the momager, joins us exclusively to talk business, family, and daughter Kylie's $1.2 billion cosmetics deal. The final hour Squawk Box begins right now.
Good morning and welcome to Squawk Box here on CNBC, live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. I'm Joe Kernan along with Andrew Ross Sorkin and Melissa Lee. Becky is out today on business.
On business.
Out in L.A. interviewing
Doug McMillon.
Doug McMillon.
To talk to him about. He just had his earnings. She's going to be back here, by the way, to interview the CEO of Target tomorrow morning.
Our guest host this morning, David Novak, former chairman and CEO of Yum Brands, CEO of David Novak Leadership, and a CNBC contributor. Get to David again in a second. The futures this morning are indicated up about 48 points. They were up triple digits until Home Depot reported, which we're going to get to in a second. Treasury yields this morning moderating again, I think down around 182 last I saw. Yep, exactly 182 on the 10-year.
Okay, top story this hour. Retailers feeling the pain this morning. Check out shares of Home Depot. You can see them down there over 4%. The company posting mixed results for its third quarter. Did beat on the bottom line, but Q3 comparable store sales growth came in lower than analysts had expected, and Home Depot lowering its full-year sales and comps guidance. At this moment, the stock's taking about 70 points off the Dow futures. Separately, Kohl's posted weaker than expected earnings and comps, and it's cutting its full-year profit guidance. That stock got down as well. You can look at that board, down over close to 12% right now. And finally, the retail wreck hitting a number of other companies this morning, including, take a look, Macy's, TJX, and Nordstrom's. Fellow home improvement retailer Lowe's also feeling some pain. They'll be reporting tomorrow morning, and we'll find out whether this Home Depot situation is Home Depot specific or whether there's something larger going on in the economy.
House lawmakers resumed their impeachment inquiry into President Trump this morning with more public testimony. Sessions will take place in the morning and in the afternoon. Elon Moy joins us now with more. Elon.
Well, Melissa, it is going to be a marathon day. 4 witnesses will be testifying in front of the House Intelligence Committee starting in just about an hour. 3 of them were listening in on that July 25th phone call. A former National Security Council official, Timothy Morrison, said that he didn't feel there was anything illegal about the call, but it was certainly unusual. However, another NSC staffer, Alexander Vindman, raised red flags about the call immediately, while an aide to Vice President Mike Pence, Jennifer Williams, said that the call shed light on why the security assistance to Ukraine might have been withheld. Now, all 3 of them also raised concerns about these back channels of diplomacy to Ukraine that exist within the administration. And one of the people allegedly in that back channel, Kurt Volker, will also be testifying this afternoon. So these hearings are expected to go into the evening. Republicans say this is a prime example of how impeachment is sucking all the oxygen out of Washington. But guys, we do expect one key vote to happen in the House today, and that would be on a short-term spending bill that would keep the government open through December 20th. And we are expecting both Republicans and Democrats to support it. Back over to you.
All right, Alon, thanks. Joining us now with more, Andy Card, former White House Chief of Staff and an NBC News and MSNBC political analyst. It's great to see you this morning. Andy, let me just ask you, we care about markets, we care about the economy. It'd be nice if Washington were a tailwind, and I'm talking fiscally, for the economy. Anything between now and a year from now that we can expect other than the Fed to help with economic growth, or do you think Congress is just paralyzed?
Well, I'm glad to see that they have a short-term spending bill ready for. It'll only take us till December 20th. They've got to work on a real budget, and I hope they'll keep working on it while they're dealing with this impeachment mess. I also hope that they'll pass USMCA. It's very important to get that trade deal done with Mexico and Canada in the U.S. And we also have to pay attention to what's happening over in China. We've got to get the trade deal done there and get the tariffs reduced. And so there's a lot of work that has to be done. I hope they can chew gum and walk at the same time. Unfortunately, they talk more than they chew the gum. So I don't know what's going on, but they clearly have the capacity to get things done. It's a good sign that they got this short-term spending bill on the books, and they should vote for it with a big, overwhelming bipartisan support, hopefully this next few days, and get that done. But they've got to work on a real budget, and they've got to get USMCA done.
Speaker Pelosi gave some lip service to USMCA. I'm just wondering whether we take her at her word that it's really going to move forward. She seemed to indicate that she was open to doing that, but cynical people think that maybe that won't happen because it would give a bit of a victory to the Trump administration. What's your true feeling about whether we get that done?
I actually take the speaker at her word. I do think that she would like to get USMCA passed. That doesn't mean it's going to be an easy lift for her within her caucus. But I think it's important to get done, and hopefully people will put their partisan bickering aside to just get it done. There's an awful lot of work that's gone into it. I think it's very important to be done, and the world is looking for that. We also have to send a signal that trade deals are good, and we should get China to step up to meet their responsibilities to come to an agreement. So it's important. I think USMCA would be an important signal not only to the U.S. ability to have its economy continue to grow, but to the world that the Congress is interested in being part of the solution rather than part of the problem.
It's a very partisan process we see going on here. Both sides are dug in, and that's why I started with the market impact on what Congress is able to do. But just to discuss what we're talking about briefly, I did see you quoted as, I don't remember the word you used for the phone call, but I think you called it maybe troubling or something. You can just tell us how you felt about the whole issue we're talking about, and whether it rises to the level of an impeachable offense in your view, and whether there's a chance of getting 20 senators, Republican senators, to convict.
First of all, I think the process has been a little more partisan than it needs to be. And I don't like all the leaking and the spin. I want the facts to come out. Let the facts determine what happens. My gut tells me that there will be a vote on impeachment and the president will be impeached. I do not think that he will be removed. I don't think the Senate will pass any kind of conviction, and I don't think that he would be removed. But right now, my gut is that he'd likely to be impeached. I think but I want the truth to come out without the bias. And right now, the people are putting ornaments on whatever is said, and I don't think that we're actually seeing the cold, hard facts. I'd like the facts to come out. I hope the process is a little more honest and fair, and hopefully we'll get to that point. But the president should just continue to do his job. I think the president should not be preoccupied with this. Focus on the job that's done. There's an awful lot going on in the world. His leadership is critically important in order to get the rest of the world in line. And we've got trouble spots all around the world, obviously in the Middle East. The new policy changes in Israel are going to create a debate. We've got problems in Hong Kong. We've got problems at many places around the world, and I want the president to maintain his interest in solving those problems rather than focus on impeachment. Let the winds blow where they may in Congress and just do the job of being president.
If you're as chief of staff and you're advising someone who has a strong will and is very independent, what kind of advice would you give the president? I mean, I know what you want him to do, but how would you go about influencing him?
First of all, I would say, don't be distracted. Simply, I kind of wish he were not tweeting about the impeachment process and just accept that it's going to be going the way it's going. And I don't think that he should be meddling in that process. I think he should say, let the facts come out. I don't think the facts are going to be that compelling that he would be removed, and focus on doing the job. I think President Clinton, when he gave the president advice, said, just do your job. That's how he got through. That's how President Clinton got through the impeachment process.
So, Andy, as a Washington person that been there a long time, how do you see this affecting, and we're getting back to the markets and the economy again, is this a positive long run for Trump, or is it a positive for the Democratic nominee, whether it's Elizabeth Warren or somebody else? Because then, do you think that this could help Elizabeth Warren eventually win the presidency if she was the nominee in November of next year? And what would that mean for the economy and the markets?
Well, first of all, I think the Democrats have been dealt an incredibly good hand, but they are grossly misplaying it. I don't think Elizabeth Warren reflects the reality of expectation in this country. So I think she's lurched way too far left. So I don't see her as part of the solution. I actually see her as part of the problem. And we've got a good economy. We want to keep it going, and it's important to get these trade deals done. It's important to deal with the situation with China and get that behind us. And I think the president understands that. And so I don't think the impeachment process is troubling to the state of our democracy and politics, but I don't think it's impacting the economy yet. And I hope that it won't. I hope that we'll keep focusing on. That's why I want Congress to do its job. I'm troubled by the spending that Congress has been doing. We're spending like crazy, and we've got to be careful with how we use the taxpayers' money. Yeah. But I don't think the politics has gelled, and the Democrats have not settled on a viable candidate yet, and I don't know who a viable candidate is that I could define right now.
All right, I'm going to channel Andrew for a second. He's doing something else. As an ethical person, would you be okay with the re-election of President Trump?
I'm not a big Trump fan. I don't like the tweeting. I wish he would taste his words before he spit them out, or lick his thumbs before he tweets them out. And I find that he's a little bit impetuous. But I have to agree with a lot of his policies, and I think it's important. Stability is critical to the success of our economy. We want to know kind of for certain which way we're headed.
So, Andy,
I think he has given us momentum in our economy.
Let me make it more complicated. So if I give you Elizabeth Warren, or I give you the president, what do you do?
I would go with the president.
All right. We will. We're out of here. Andy Card, thank you. I appreciate it. He's a Bush guy too. So
no, I know. That's why I was asking the question.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
but I think this is a larger issue about how this whole election is.
I sort of thought I knew how he would answer that question from some of his previous. I kind of.
I wasn't 100% sure.
Most people don't have a whole lot of trouble picking.
When we come back,
most capitalists.
We've got a huge guest, a huge capitalist, keeping up with the empire builder. A special interview with none other than Kris Jenner. It is straight ahead. We're going to talk about the $600 million stake beauty company that Cody is taking in her daughter Kylie's company. We're going to talk all about it when we return right here on Squawk Box.
Cold Tuesday afternoons like this are cruel. You cough, you splutter, so does your car. Its battery dead, killed by an icy claw. Will anyone stand up to winter? Yes, You come to Halfords. We fit new batteries on the spot from just £15, and we're open late 7 days a week. See halfords.com for opening hours here in Wandsworth. Ready for the cold snap? Ready for anything. Halfords, for life's journeys.
Batteries sold separately. Selected vehicles only in most stores.
At Lidl, we're big on all those Christmas parties. The season to be jolly. Try our Party Time Indian snack selection for only $2.99. And our Party Time mac and cheese bites for just $1.19. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
The world is a noisy place, but whether I'm here or here, my phone calls are always loud and clear on my Doro 6620. Hi, love. Yes, I can hear you perfectly. I'm 10 minutes away. Get your Doro 6620 from Amazon, Tesco, and O2 today.
Elsa, the past is not what it seems. You must find the truth. Journey into the unknown with Disney's Frozen 2, the most anticipated musical movie event of the year.
We do this together, okay?
This November.
I believe in you, Elsa, more than anyone or anything. Into the air.
Change is in the air. Frozen 2 in cinemas November 22nd.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Take a look at futures right now. We are in the green. Dow up about 55 points. That's still down in large part as a result of some of the Home Depot numbers we heard earlier. NASDAQ looking open about 35 points higher, and the S&P 500 looking about 9 points higher. It is now time to talk to Kylie Jenner's mother in just a moment. Kylie Jenner is selling a controlling stake in her cosmetics startup to Coty for $600 million. Together, Jenner and Coty plan to expand the beauty brand globally and branch out to new categories. And joining us right now in an exclusive interview and her Squawk Box debut is Kris Jenner, CEO of Jenner Communications. Kris, thank you for calling in this morning.
Oh, thank you. Good morning.
And waking up early. So it's funny because, you know, when you and I talked last week, or maybe even right before we talked on stage, you had said something big might be coming. I imagine this is it. You had made some references to private equity. So tell us, how did this deal come to pass? How did it happen?
Well, you know, we yesterday was a really big day for Kylie and our team at Kylie Cosmetics, and truly a moment for our family to be proud at. You know, it's kind of a crystallization of all of our work, but also a moment to just look forward and be really excited about the future. And I think the goal is to just keep building Kylie's existing beauty business into a global powerhouse brand. That's the vision. And we decided to partner with Coty because they share the same vision that we do in building this into a huge thing. And it's, you know, we dream big, and this is something we're so excited about.
How much of this was about building the business, meaning what you thought Coty could do to increase the scale and scope of this globally? And how much of this is a little bit of taking some money off the table? I know that you're still going to own, that Kylie's still going to own a huge percentage of the business.
Right. Well, that was really important to Kylie because this is her baby and this is her dream. And it wasn't about just, you know, building something. We've been in business just a few years and so proud of what she's built. And she's so excited about the partnership. But at the same time, you know, this is her dream, is to build this beauty, empire, and just go into many categories that she hasn't even scratched the surface. She launched skin this year, and she's really excited about that, and that's been a huge success for her, and looks forward to working with Cody to develop more categories and going into other areas of the beauty business, and that's very exciting. And she feels like this is where she belongs. This is where her passion is, and she really wants to use her creative side to develop her brand, and this is what she wants to do for the rest of her life. She talks about it all the time. 20 years from now, she sees herself doing this and maybe passing it down to her daughter.
So, Chris, it's Joe Kernan, and I just thought of just sort of a philosophical question. A lot of people that become billionaires, let's say, or become just incredibly wealthy, they become reclusive. And I'm just wondering, would there ever come a time where the Kardashians would become not a media family, and not someone that has a reality TV show, but just purely business people, and just run the business and just stay out of the public eye, and just, could you see that, or is the
media piece is so integral?
That's what I mean. It is integral. Someday it might not be as integral. Is it integral to the business, or do you just like being out there?
Well, I think that, we enjoy what we're doing. We have a very successful television show in almost 200 countries around the world, and that really does expand, the global reach for us for sure. But we really enjoy what we're doing, and we've been doing it now for over a decade. We're about to start shooting season 19 in a couple of months, and we're finishing up 18 now, and it's what we do. We love working together as a family, and I think that we enjoy so much all the creative things we do, all the brands we work on, all the different categories we're able to expand in. And I think that because we enjoy success at some of these things, that it really does reflect on the other family members. So when somebody like, if Kylie, who had a exciting day yesterday, her family and her brother and sisters are so excited for her, and that just really expands the reach of all of the kids. It kind of, is this blanket across the whole family, and I'm just really proud of them.
So, Chris, the other question I was going to ask is, now that you have this relationship with Cody, could you imagine either selling pieces of any of the other businesses by any of your other daughters? I'm thinking of the KKW business that Kim has, or Skims eventually, and effectively consolidating the whole empire with a private equity arm, if you will.
Well, I think there's always that possibility, as the businesses grow. I think that the focus for the kids isn't always about, growing it and just to sell it. I think that they really are so passionate about what they're doing. For example, you mentioned Kim's Skims. I can't think of a better match than Kim and her Skims business, because she's just dreamed about this for a decade, thought about, developing something like this, thought about, creating a business like this, and she's done it, and she lives it and breathes it, and I watch her every single day try to, create something even better, and it's really exciting. So I think that it's the whole process of what they're going through and learning. They're all still so young. I think about myself and when I was that age, and have the ability to be so creative and have the tools to be able to build these things. And I think it's, very exciting for them. And I think that if they do grow the business and they're able to sell something and keep, having a hand in it, that's kind of the ideal situation.
Chris, you've just done such an amazing job building brands and also, building a family business. A lot of entrepreneurs struggle with family businesses. What's your secret to keeping everybody aligned and together and having that positive belief in each other?
Well, I get asked that question a lot, and I think that we really truly like each other and really get along well, and we spend a lot of time together, and I think the key is probably communication. I think that the ability to really, I was on the phone last night with Kim for quite a while, just, talking about her businesses and what's next, and on and on. And I think I do that a lot with the girls, and I think just really communicating about what they really want to do with their lives. And I have 10 grandchildren, so that's really exciting, and we spend a lot of time together with the kids, and I'm just really blessed to have this big, huge family, and there's a lot of joy mixed in with all the business, mixed in with the filming. It's kind of the perfect storm. So I'm really lucky, but I think communication would be the word that, whatever that means to you, and just being able to remember to enjoy the really sweet times and the family moments, and it's not all just about business.
Yeah, that's very important advice. Chris, I'm wondering, when you're building a brand, is there a particular social media platform that you think is most effective? And in thinking about using that platform, do you think about the other things that the platform might now come under fire for, such as privacy concerns or using consumer data? Does that ever enter the equation?
Well, I think, I have a really great digital team that we try to focus on what works best for what brand, and what, we kind of spread our social media out amongst different platforms. But, there's a lot of changes all the time. For example, when we first started shooting Keeping Up with the Kardashians, there was barely Twitter. I remember Ryan Seacrest, I said this to you guys earlier last week. Andrew, he called me and said, you might want to tell Kim about this thing called Twitter. She's going to love it. So, and then, there wasn't even Instagram at that time. So I think being able to adapt to new and different platforms now there's TikTok and there's, all these different things. I think that the privacy part of it is, obviously I've said this very vocally, concerning, and there's different aspects of social media that, any of us might not be real happy about, but then there's that side of it that's so amazing, and just, the kids' ability to go out there and use it for just positive things, and obviously for business works really well for us. So it's been such an amazing asset for my family.
So, Chris, how many phone calls did you get yesterday from other private equity firms that now want to buy other Kardashian-Jenner businesses?
Well, a girl doesn't talk about everything.
I knew that would be your answer. I hope you collected 10% on this deal. Is that how this all works?
Well, I've told you that before. Listen, she's really lucky to be in the position she's at, and we work hard. And I just want to continue to help the girls do whatever it is to, just focus on what it is their dreams are, and that makes me really happy. I think anytime a mom is able to see the success of her daughters at this level and have them be really great people with great hearts and be super focused, I'm just super proud.
Chris, I want to thank you. And I just want to say, and we said it during the commercial break, this family and these women are the most disciplined business people. It's actually a remarkable thing, and I got to see it in person and just spending time with them on the phone and other things, but it's almost underappreciated, sort of what they're really doing here, because it's a genuine business, and
Chris, you probably should DVR this show. I know it's early out there, but and become a really faithful Squawk Box viewer for the entire family. I think is that.
I'm just gonna set it on recording all the time now.
Every morning. Chris, thank you so very much for waking up early for us. Thank you, Chris.
That sounded sincere. I think there's a chance she'll...
chance.
You think?
Small chance.
What a hell of a deal, though.
What a hell of a deal.
Think about this. They get $600 million, plus they have creative control.
It's amazing.
She has 270 million followers. All right? The brand's nothing. The company's nothing without her involvement. So if they pick up the cash, and then you still control the company.
You would never not do the reality show because it's so synergistic. But you might have the opportunity if it ever got, but it seems to play into all the other stuff.
It's the social media. It's the lineage.
I can't imagine having a camera around. Oh, wait a minute.
You do every day.
keep forgetting that. Anyway, coming up, a rare perspective on Hong Kong and the China trade war from one of the most informed leaders in the business. Yum China's Vice Chairman Mickey Pan will join us in minutes. On both of these topics, stay tuned. You're watching Squawk Box on CNBC.
Tomorrow on Squawk Box, Becky Quick has an exclusive interview with Target CEO Brian Cornell. Moments after the company reports, the stock has been a retail bright spot this year. We'll find out if the rally can continue. That's tomorrow in the 6 a.m. hour, only on Squawk Box.
Welcome to the future.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can feel your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
At Lidl, we're big on those little reasons to be jolly. Like our delicious Favorina all butter mini Stollen bites for just $1.99. And 6 deluxe mince pies for just $1.35. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Rick Santella here with live breaking news. Our October read on housing starts and permits. Starts up close to 4%, 1.314 million seasonally adjusted annualized units, and a positive revision last month, which took it from down 9.4 to only down 7.9% at 1.266 million. That's seasonally adjusted annualized. On the permit side, very solid, up a solid 5% on the permits, and that of course brings you to 1.461 million seasonally adjusted annualized units. And on that housing number, 1.314, that is the highest number going back to August. And do remember that August number 1.386 was the highest since June of 2007. So these are pretty decent numbers. Haven't seen an interest rate response. One would think it would firm up a bit. We're just slightly higher than we left off yesterday. Dollar index has recovered somewhat as Trump, of course, maybe the reason he talks so much about interest rates is to tamp that dollar down, but it is unchanged. And of course, we'll continue to monitor how various portions of Europe continue to rest at lower yields than they were about a week ago, when everybody, of course, was a bit excited as Christine Lagarde took the helm. Andrew, back to you.
Okay, Rick, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Great to see you. Want to get over to Steve Leisman, who joins us now with more. Steve.
Yeah, it's a good number, Andrew. We've been in this back and forth here on housing, where 1 month it shoots up, another month it shoots down. This is one of those ones where it's up actually second month in a row here that it's been on the way up. We had a bit of a recovery. Look, you had this increase in interest rates. It went from like 3.82 on the average 30-year mortgage up over 4%, but that's still down year over year from, say, a year ago. You'll remember it was back pushing 5%, and that's so we still have some stimulus to the housing market. Housing had been detracting for GDP for quite a few quarters here. I made some notes here. 4 of the past 14 quarters, going back to the second quarter of 2016, residential building has been a negative for GDP, and now perhaps it's on the way back. Housing starts also had kind of slumped since June 18, and one thing that's good here is I'm just trying to figure it out here. The single family number, the 1 unit structure is at 936, and I'm just going to confirm that with my glasses here. Guys, that looks like the best number going back to January of 2019. So it's the second best month of the year for single family starts. Melissa, that's good news. If we can maintain some positive momentum from the housing market for growth while we deal with the other side, which is the trade side and the manufacturing side, it could be at least a decent offset, Melissa.
Absolutely. Steve, thank you. Steve Leisman. We're taking a look at shares of TJX pre-market. They just came out with earnings. They just crossed the wires 3 minutes ago or so. Looks like a beat and raise on the quarter, so much different from the results that we had prior to TJX, with Home Depot and Kohl's missing and also taking down full-year guidance, the opposite of TJX, and those shares are higher by 2.4%. Coming up, Yum China's Mickey Pant on the trade war, Hong Kong, chicken sandwich wars, and much more. Squawk Box will be right back.
I've got to tell you about our beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. Next, we donned our skates for Bath on Ice. I'm a natural. Didn't have to hold on to anything. Or anyone. There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
At Lidl, we're big on those little reasons to be jolly, like our delicious Favorina all butter mini stollen bites for just $1.99 and 6 deluxe mince pies for just $1.35. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like 4 reels. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Rainy, 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 rainy. Sergey, why are you in such good mood? It's raining. And rain means we take meal pups to cinema. And cinema means they'll be entertained. And entertained means they're also quiet for a couple of hours. Oh, let's go. Enjoy more time together with 2-for-1 cinema tickets from Meerkat Movies with the Meerkat app when you buy through Compare the Market. Qualifying purchases, Tuesdays or Wednesdays, participating cinemas, 2 standard tickets only, cheapest free. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back to Squawk Box on CNBC. We're live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. Fried chicken wars are hitting China, apparently. Popeye is signing a lease in Shanghai this week for its first store in the country. The chain's parent company says it is ready to take on KFC and become the market leader. Our next guest knows the landscape very well. Mickey Pant was the CEO of Yum China. He's now the company's vice chairman and senior advisor. Mickey, welcome to Squawk Box. Great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Are you worried about Popeye's entering China?
No, not at all. I mean, KFC's, we've more KFCs in China than in America. It's always good to get new competitors and new companies, so we'll see what happens.
Have you had that chicken sandwich from Popeyes?
I have not, no.
You have not, so you have no idea what all the hype is about?
No, I have. I mean, I've seen the product and I've seen descriptions of it. I haven't eaten it.
Do you want to eat it? I would think you'd go running to find. I would be eating it, deconstructing it, trying to figure out what magic they.
I probably will. I talked to people who are following it very closely in the U.S. and so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Why do you think that just took off like lightning in a bottle?
Well, I think food innovation in this industry always works, and I think that there's been so many instances over the last 10 years of long lines forming when a new product is launched. So I think that that's what happened. It's a good product, and it's innovative, and everybody's hungry for a chicken sandwich. So,
if you solve the biggest problem that happens in a category that occurs most frequently or with a brand, you always have big results. Popeye's typical chicken on the bone concept, full meals. So this was sort of a breakthrough for them.
Yeah, right.
It's funny to hear that Chicken Wars, Melissa, chicken sandwich has been around forever, and so they've got one, but it solved their particular problem.
Right.
Okay, and I think that's why it
was
worked.
like when Chick-fil-A first started really rolling out, people were going crazy for that sandwich.
Yeah.
Remember? It's just a thing.
But I think the bigger point is China is the world's biggest growth market for fast food. So everyone's going there. And, we've been there, David knows, for 30 years.
Yeah.
And,
do you think operating in China has changed?
It's become easier in a sense that technology has moved far beyond what you see in any other country. I mean, they're so far ahead of America in terms of payment systems. And, 5 years ago, we only had cash transactions. And 90% now is through QR codes. And there's no cash at all in stores. And the same thing for pre-ordering or menus, right. And people go into stores, they don't have a look at the menu.
What kind of fees do all of the various banks and others take relative to the United States, for example?
It's evolving, so it's variable. Obviously, we were there earlier, and we had the first alliance, with big companies like Alibaba to be able to roll out Alipay across the system. So it's negotiated. I don't think there's any fixed rules. Ours is obviously a trade secret we'll operate with. But the two big guys are Alipay and WeChat Pay. And, like I said, they're far ahead of anybody else.
Have you seen any impact from the U.S.-China trade war when it comes to consumer behavior? And do you think that the U.S. should take a harder stance? And Congress is weighing some bills that would sort of condemn China for what it's doing here with Hong Kong protesters. Do you think the U.S. should wade into that? Would that make business harder for you in your view, have no effect? How do you view that?
Well, on the first question, Melissa, I think on the market is growing very nicely. So I think we've declared 3 quarters of results so far. We're in the middle of the 4th quarter, obviously cannot talk about it. But the business has grown, and we're building a lot of stores. Last year, we built more than 800 new restaurants in just one country. And as you refer to Popeyes and others, everyone's coming in. So for sure, the market is growing very rapidly.
As for whether or not the U.S. should wade into the China-Hong Kong?
That's a political question, really. I don't have a particular view on it at the moment.
I'm not saying that you should have a particular political view, but could that make business harder for you?
Or the sanctions? Well, it depends on what if sanctions happen, what shape or form they take. But, we buy 1 billion chickens a year in China. They're all Chinese chickens. And, we process them and then we sell the food. So a lot of our supply chain is localized. And, we're an American company in the sense we are Delaware incorporated and listed here on the New York Stock Exchange. But essentially, it's a Chinese company. We have an exceptional Chinese CEO, Joey Watt, who runs the company. We have 400,000 employees in the country and operate 9,000 stores in 1,300 cities. So it's a big business, essentially. It's got the characteristics of a Chinese business and an American business.
How many more cities? You're in 1,300 cities. How many more?
Maybe another 800, David. They just keep, the infrastructure build-out is of such a scale. I hear a lot of comments, including on this show, about China, which are ill-informed. I think that people making those comments haven't been to China. I think if they were to go to China and had the privilege of living there and traveling widely across the country. And if you see the scale of the build-out in small cities and small towns, so before I went, I was told by my friends, they'd say, urban phenomenon, the development, it's all in the special economic zones on the eastern seaboard. It's not true. I've been to the most remote areas, and, whether it's in Tibet or in Xinjiang, and look at the quality of the roads, and frankly, the cell phones work better, so they're really far ahead. Yeah. I saw genuine 5G in action. See 5GE here, which the speed seems to be very similar, but they're very far ahead in technology. So.
Thank you, Mickey. Mickey Pant.
Okay.
All right, coming up, how close is Dow 30,000? I can answer. That's like 2,000 away, isn't it? Sure, I got that right. Yeah. Anyway, it's a rhetorical question. Professor Jeremy Siegel from the Wharton School joins us next with his predictions on what will make the market pop or slide. Pops and drops. You still? We can use that now. All right. And what the Fed should be watching. Stay tuned. Squawk Box is right back.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. You'll get interviews, original content, and behind-the-scenes access. Look for us on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. And subscribe to Squawk Pod today.
Consistency delivers.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
If you're planning on driving this weekend, expect delays on the A406 North Circular Road. There'll be road closures between Tottenham and Edmonton from 10 p.m. on Friday the 22nd of November to 5 a.m. on Monday the 25th of November, while we carry out essential maintenance and repairs. All roads in the surrounding area will be extremely busy, so please allow more time for your journey and expect delays in the area. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
The last ticket for a sold-out gig. The last seat at the Cup final. No one wants to miss out on a last chance, like the last chance to drive a Vauxhall Corsa, Astra or Mocha X Griffin edition, only until the 26th of November. Search Vauxhall Griffin. All Griffin, no bull. Participating retailers only, limited units while stocks last. Vauxhall, British brand since 1903.
Going, gone. Some things just don't hang around. Like a great deal in Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. Right now you can get the Samsung Galaxy S10 for just $29.99 a month. But this deal ends Sunday 1st of December. Catch it before it's gone. Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion was £35.99, now £29.99. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
Welcome back to Squawk Talk. Back to our big stock mover of the morning. Take a look at Home Depot right now. Shares sliding again this morning after posting some mixed numbers for its latest quarter. Check out where the shares are now trading in pre-market. You're looking at down about 3.5% right now. Joining us for some more analysis of all this is Peter Keith. He's a senior research analyst at Piper Jaffray. We've been trying to make heads or tails of what's really happening here in terms of this guidance, whether this is specific to Home Depot, whether this is a larger story about the economy and the consumer. Where do you land?
Yeah, I think it's a broader issue with housing from the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're looking at Home Depot, which is one of the best executors in consumer discretionary. This is their 4th consecutive same-store sales miss. And they've been blaming some things like weather, lumber deflation, which are all valid, but at the bottom line, that our view, and that's why we've been neutral for some time, is that the housing metrics were pretty bad in the beginning of the year. In the earlier segment, talking about rates jumping up to about 5%. I think what's interesting now is that you've seen rates come down below 4%, and month by month, we're slowly seeing housing metrics get better sequentially. So I do think it's, well, I'll call it Q3 is still hangover period for Home Depot.
So we're looking at, by the way, some other retailers down big time this morning. So if you believe the call you're making, they should be down. If you believe this is a Home Depot only story, they probably shouldn't be affected as much.
That's right, yeah. And this is, I think, very specific to housing that had been on a tear for 8-9 years. And then we saw a lot of the housing metrics turn quite negative.
In which case then, when you look at a Macy's and Nordstrom's, should they be down as much as they are?
Well, I don't follow those stocks, but I think there's a broader view that
Lowe's tomorrow.
Lowe's tomorrow will be very interesting, right? And that there's basically right now the largest valuation gap between Home Depot and Lowe's in roughly 5 years. So there's lower expectations on Lowe's, and it certainly seems to be in the early stages of a turnaround and closing what we call the comp gap between it and Home Depot.
So if there's a 6 to 9 month lag between the bad housing data and where they are right now, does that mean that this is a trough quarter?
Yeah, I think it is. So we've seen now with rates that went below 4% in June, and now just in looking at July, August, September, slowly housing metrics are getting better and better sequentially. So yes, with a 1 to 2 quarter lag, I think this is the bottom. Q4 looks better, and then we start to outperform more so in 2020 with
You still don't like the valuation, though?
No, I mean, I think exactly. It's at 22 times. It's an abnormally high valuation for Home Depot. The stock's up 40% this year, despite the sales weakness. Lowe's to us is the much more attractive one at 17.5 times, and you get this turnaround optionality that could really cause earnings growth to be quite substantial next year.
So But was the issue here, you think that's just price to perfection? I mean, that's part of the issue that I'm thinking about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 22 times earnings. They're basically guiding the year to grow earnings at about 1%. So certainly was carrying a pretty lofty multiple into the quarter.
What would you buy in the space right now?
Well, Lowe's
but is there anything else you buy?
I mean, I think we're warming up to the idea that home improvement spending is going to outpace consumer spending in 2020.
Okay.
Fundamentals getting better. We would like to see some lower valuations on a few names.
Okay. Peter, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet.
All right, we're about 45 minutes, a little less from the opening bell on Wall Street. Joining us now to talk about what's driving the markets and where they're primed to go next, Jeremy Siegel, finance professor at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. I haven't seen you in a while, Professor. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Yes. Good morning, Joe.
For a while, I think you thought the Fed was a major part of the equation. You wanted one more cut. You got it in October. Now the Fed is out of the equation, and we're back to what happens with China. Is that your view, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, despite Trump's visit with Chairman Powell, Powell feels very comfortable now. I think he's got the support of the committee. He's got the support of the market. We're back to a positive sloped term structure, which is a good sign. I think the Fed is not in the equation anymore. It's the trade deal. Markets wants a trade deal. We get a trade deal where we lower tariffs. We're going to get a good 5 to 10% pop, I think, in stocks, even from today's levels, which are all-time highs.
That's not asymmetric risk. That's another 5 to 10%. But certainly, if we didn't get a deal, which you say is 70 to 80% priced in, if we didn't get a deal, and if the trade war were to really heat up, it'd be worse than 5 to 10% the other way, in your view?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if we ratchet up, and then it's way out of expectations, the 25% tariffs, I still think are on the books for December 15th. I mean, if somehow that comes about, I think we're going to have a swoon in the market. Don't forget, when we had a 20% drop, remember last Christmas, on just the fears that this was heating up. If it actually comes about, it's not going to be any better. So, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the worst is a muddle through. We keep on delaying that. The market will tolerate that for a long time, but I think it's be hard to get a lot of progress on stocks without a deal.
I don't know when you first started recommending stocks for people. I go back to 780 on the Dow, so I'm the kind of sold on the notion of owning stocks long term. But I've also been sold sort of on free enterprise, private sector, capitalism. I've been sold on that for a long time. Would your whole view of the way things work change if we were to become a lot more socially democrat, whatever they're calling it, whatever Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren call their philosophy? Would you become less bullish long term on the United States if we adopted a lot of their program?
Well, I agree with you. I mean, basically, the free market system is what's generated our wealth over time. The first edition of Stocks for the Long Run came out in '94. I felt really bullish about the United States, and I still do. Let's put it this way. I think the American public want a moderate in there. They don't want a Warren, and they don't want a Sanders. I think what's really important, of course, is also the Senate, as we all know. The odds makers are still saying that the Senate is likely to stay Republican. So even if one of those two win, of which Warren is the more likely, although really the race has become really tightened up, between Biden and Buttigieg and Warren. It's actually almost a toss-up in the markets. But if Warren should come out ahead and the Senate stays Republican, nothing, no wealth tax, no Medicare for all, none of that's happening. And, so basically you have a standoff, gridlock, which, of course, a lot of people think is not that terrible for the stock market.
So you're watching Predicted. I watch that, too. And the three you mentioned are all in the low 20s. They're almost tied.
It's a real horse race there. Actually, it's my theory Bloomberg entered the market into the primary system, not so much to win, but to get some votes, which he could have a lot of power to throw if there's a deadlock convention among these 3 or 4 top candidates.
Not everybody is fortunate enough to go to Wharton or Penn, but I'm not going to blame you entirely for 70% of millennials think socialism is a good idea. But what the hell's happening with you academics and professors? Did you leave that part out about how the profit incentive allocates capital to where it's most treated most effectively? What happened? What are you doing?
I mean, our department tries to hold it up. I mean, yeah.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised?
I think it's one of the only departments at Penn. I mean, no, it's also a matter of definition and understanding and really faulty understandings of history.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids are not learning history of socialism and what's been tried and failed. And
we had
I
Chris
think
Jenner on.
that's a major.
I think if we can get to the Kardashians,
problem.
if we can get to the Kardashians, you know what I'm saying?
They're the biggest capitalists around.
That's what I mean. They got to start preaching it from the mountaintop. Professor, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just so 30,000. You've been talking about it for a long time. Looks like someday, not in the not too distant future, that might might be the case.
Well, yeah. I mean, someday we're pretty fully priced. But what I like about is Europe is beginning to look better. And if the dollar doesn't soar, and if which is already dollar looks like it's not going to be moving up, I think the reason. I mean, don't forget, so much of S&P profits come from Europe, come from abroad. If we get a turnaround in Europe, Japan, etc., we can drive some good pricing and good markets in S&P.
All right, Professor, thank you. Get back to work. You know what I'm saying? If you can turn one person today into to embrace capitalism, thank you. Start with Andrew. might be.
Jeez. Coming up, not coming up, but we're going to get out of San Francisco right now over to the CNBC Bureau at One Market Plaza, where Jim Cramer joins us. Jim, I want to get your views on HD here. Can't call it HD really, because then people think HD Supply. Home Depot.
Yeah.
Jim.
Okay. Look, this is one of those where I'm going to miss Carol Tomei, the CFO, longtime CFO of Home Depot, because I think she could put it in context. Look, they did something that I think can be recovered once we find out more about it. There was an internal glitch. I thought that what Melissa said at the very beginning was most important when she said, it's not the first time. Now, there's going to be a certain point where people say it's not the first time, let's pay less for the company. But you know what? Every time it's been the first time in terms of some new excuse, but over and over again, a recurring problem, people say, let it settle and buy. And I think that's probably going to happen again because of exactly what you guys just said, Melissa, about the 7-month lag. So wouldn't you want to buy it with the 7-month lag after today's numbers that Rick talked about? And I think the answer is yes. But I'm going to miss Carol Tomei's excellent explanation of what the hell happened.
Do you agree with analyst Jim that Lowe's is a better buy because the valuation is 17 times and it should theoretically close a gap with Home Depot at 22? Or should Lowe's be a discounted valuation to a Home Depot?
I think there's still a little bit of discount evaluation. And you know who tells me that? Marvin Ellison, the CEO. He is saying, please don't get ahead of yourselves, Jim. Please don't push the stock. Basically saying, please don't push the stock that much. I think Ellison's unbelievable. I think he's doing a great job. The company Lowe's had no technology to speak of. Marvin's putting a lot of tech in, as he knew to do at Home Depot. Sad to say it, because my charitable trust owns Home Depot for about 50 points. Lowe's is getting to be a better buy. I don't want to, again, get ahead of what Marvin's telling me, but Marvin's got a plan, and I've got to tell you something. Ellison has emboldened Lowe's to be far better than it's been for any time in the last decade.
Jim, want to thank you. Appreciate it very, very much.
Pro-capitalist, Andy.
Pro-capitalism.
Andrew, I know you like capitalism. I know you do. I've never seen you at any Spartacus Workers League meeting.
A couple big things to tell you about real quick.
He's in disguise.
A very special interview coming up with Goldman Sachs' senior chairman, Lloyd Blankfein. That's from the halftime report. Also, some breaking news literally as we speak. 2 jail workers who were on duty the night of the Jeffrey Epstein that he killed himself were arrested this morning on charges tied to their alleged failure to check on him. It's going to raise all sorts of new questions and suspicions about what really happened. We're just getting that crossing the wire. Maybe we'll bring you some more of it when we come right back after this.
'Tis the
season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
At Lidl, we're big on all those Christmas parties. The season to be jolly. Try our Party Time Indian snack selection for only $2.99. And our Party Time mac and cheese bites for just $1.19. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always little on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like 4 reels. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now